All right, y'all, today's a Monday, and Mondays are for Docs. Thank you for clicking or tapping, and let's start today's spew. And guys, you've read the title of the video. I'm very happy to be welcoming to the Doxcast for the very first time, Matt Hargreaves.
Thanks, mate. No, I'm really excited to be here. This is awesome. My very first podcast. So thank you for having me on.
Ah, beautiful. Well said. Well said. I love it. I love it. Well, as I said to you off camera, once the intro is done, we can just fucking relax.
Yeah.
We can relax. I have to say, it's been a very long time and I've never forgotten it, but I have to say thank you for that bottle of Jim Beam that you gave me.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That it was the week before Christmas.
Week before Christmas,
It
yeah.
might have been Christmas Eve, actually.
Actually, it was Christmas Eve. Yeah.
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 I needed you guys to come out.
Yeah. I wonder how
Wow.
long ago that was. I have not, I reckon 4 years, maybe
No,
more.
longer. It'd probably be 2018, 2019.
Wow.
One of the two.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy, eh? Like the world just does full circle, doesn't it?
It's just, what a small world.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild, man.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a while. So, you mentioned to me off camera, but I was going to actually ask you to start the conversation off of how the Barista Shed came to life, and you're saying,
Wow. Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah. So Barista Shed. It's been almost 8 years since I opened the shop. Pretty proud that I haven't burnt that place down yet.
yeah,
The story behind it is that I actually had a shop before that, and that shop kind of came to be an excuse to get out of working for someone else. So I used to work in pubs. I started Epping Hotel Tracks when I was 19, and I loved that place. I was very introverted. I still think I am, but it definitely opened my shell to just expanding my horizons and talking to people and just not being in my own little bubble, I guess. And I really enjoyed that, and I was there for 1.5 to 2 years, and then Bella Vista Hotel was opening up.
oh yeah,
And boy, that's a while back there. I think that's almost 13 years ago, I think it
yeah,
is.
wow. That was opened by the what was the
Colosmos.
Colosmos, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to know them when I was younger. I used to look after the Hillside, Bella Vista brewery, and I think at one point they had, I think it was just those three actually, just those three, yeah.
Yeah.
Hillside, did I say Hillside?
Hillside, first one. Hillside Brewery. They used to own the tavern back in the day as well.
Okay, yeah, nice. So how long ago were you there at Bella Vista?
13 years ago?
13 years ago.
Yeah.
Damn, wow.
Yeah, it was-
And how long were you working there for?
I was there for about just over 1.5 years. I think I'd been there for about, I'm going to say about 7 months or so. And I was working most nights, and I'd finish. Bella was only open till 1 a.m. And during that time, they'd be like, hey, Australian Brewery is open till 4. Do you want to finish up here, drive out, and do an extra couple of hours? I'd be like, yeah, sure.
Nice.
So you would go, you'd work, and then there'd be some sort of party after work. And so you go back to someone's house and you have bonfire, and
Nice.
you watch the sunrise, and you get home and it's like 8 a.m. in the morning. And,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh shit, I have work in like 2 hours.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I love the culture. I love the people. Just being surrounded by good, positive people. And back then, when the lines would be 6-7 people deep, and you'd be really
Yeah.
pushing, but everyone worked hard. It was just good camaraderie. It was good fun. I made friends for life out of that place, so it was good.
Nice.
But for your mental health, it was just draining. The hours, always missing out on family events and stuff like that, because that's when the work is required.
Yeah.
And
And sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
I will apologize in advance because I will do it a lot.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
I
cool.
just have to find out information along the way as well. So what was your primary work description? What were you doing while you were working pubs and things?
I started off as a floorie, and so just picking up glasses, cleaning, general duties kind of thing. And then I was hoping to move into a management role at tracks, it didn't work out, which then the opportunity came up at Bella Vista, and I was like, right, this is what I want to do. I want to stay in hospo, and they said, well, stay with us, and we'll promote you within the group. And slowly but surely, I moved into a supervisor role and got a bit more responsibility. But working every Friday, Saturday night, you missed out on a few things, and so I was actually having dinner with my family at home, and it was about maybe 6 p.m. or something like that. It was early, but I was going out to work like...
Don't be shy.
Sorry. Shit. God damn it. I was about to head out to work, and I was going to work 8 p.m. to about 4 a.m. And I think I was like on my 9th day straight or something like that. It was a long hustle, but I enjoyed it though. Like I wanted to make money. And I just remember my dad said to me, he was like, hey, there's this cafe that's across the road from my office in Thornlea, and it's closing down. I go across the road because my office is too small. I go across the road to this cafe to have my meetings. And he goes, Matt, why don't we buy this cafe together? It would be really good for you to be a business owner, learn all these new tips and tricks, but also for the fact of that you're your own boss. You get to write your own hours. You get to do this. And I remember saying to him that night, I'm a bartender, not a barista. I'd probably made like 20 cups of coffee in my life back then. There was a couple of girls that worked at Bella Vista that I had a crush on that all worked in the cafe section. So eventually I just walked over to him too much that my manager at the time was like, fuck it, we'll just throw you in there and at least learn how to make coffee instead of just not doing anything and talking shit to him all the time. So yeah, I learned to make coffee. Not great, but at least I could.
It wasn't for the coffees, it was for the girls anyway.
And so my parents were kind of like, well, you know how to make coffee, like it's an opportunity. And I at first I was like, yeah, nah, like fuck that. Like I had just started drinking coffee, and I'll throw myself under the bus here. I didn't know what a latte was. So I used to go up to the girls at the counter and I'd be like, hey, can I get a cappuccino, no chocolate, in a glass? And I just, it's cringeworthy now, but like, that's where it all began. And so I started drinking lattes and kind of got hooked on that. There was a Christmas Eve that I worked at Epping Hotel where I did 22 hours straight.
That's a big...
Yeah, it was a big one.
Yeah.
I fucking love that shift. I actually was at the pub till 2 a.m. the morning of my shift. So I started my shift at 8 a.m. I got thrown out of the pub at 2 a.m. My management were like, Matt, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, you're doing like a very illegal long hour shift tomorrow. Like, and I was like, my friends are from the army. They're here. Like, I want to celebrate with them.
Yeah.
Like, I can back it up. And they were like, I don't know about that. Well, proved you wrong. Honestly, I must have been the worst employee. I did some things that I'm not really proud of on that shift. My licensee, Jim, he wanted to throw me out that night. But giving out a couple of shots on Christmas, that was a lot of fun. And then big drinks afterwards. I remember coming home. It was about like maybe 6 a.m. I think I got home with a beer in my hand, and my little brother got a drum kit for Christmas that year. So I just continued to keep drinking. I ended up breaking my collarbone that day, going to hospital.
On Christmas?
Oh, mate. It was messy.
Wow. You were full involved in the bar scene, weren't you? You were like, I never would have thought that doing what you're doing now as a barista. Like, I never thought you had this previous
they're
life.
Two different lives.
They are. Like, one's to wake up, one's to go to sleep. You know.
Well, I basically traded in. I traded that nightlife for the daytime, And I just remember the day after that, my parents were like, hey, we should take this cafe. It's a good opportunity. You have... I'm not one to really talk myself up. I always doubt myself, I guess. But I'm also curious-minded that I always want to keep pursuing and keep asking questions and soak in the knowledge wherever I can. So for me, I went to the cafe the next day on very little sleep, and I just remember seeing the two owners sitting at the table, and they were just fiddling with their thumbs, and I'm just going, oh, this is a dump. Like, basically it's a waiting room for a mechanic shop next door.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, what do you see that I don't see, kind of thing? And I just remember my old man, he said to the owners, he goes, listen, you guys are desperate to get out. I think they were the 9th or 10th owners in 9 years.
Wow.
So it didn't have a great success rate at this place. But at the same time, I thought, well, if they're only serving 10 people a day, surely I could do better than that. And they survived 9 months. So I'm like, I don't understand how they did. But it was an opportunity, and I'm so grateful that I actually did do it, because it's led to where I am today. So I just remember that we made an agreement on the price, and I think it was the following couple of days, it was essentially just handed over, going, everything in the shop is yours. Here you go. See you later.
Wow.
Thank you.
So you got everything, or the machines, got everything in there.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It was pretty cheap stuff, but it was working.
Yeah.
So I just remember going to and talking to the Colosimo brothers, Leon, and I walked straight up to him because he was my direct licensee at the time. And I said, hey, Leon, I'm actually opening a cafe. Like, I bought a cafe with my dad, and he's like, good on you. And he's like, but you're still working here, right? And I was like, well, yeah, I got to make money. Like,
Yeah.
the cafe's not making money. And so I think for almost 7 months straight, I used to do Monday. I'd have one day off on a weekday. And I'd do 6 days. Sorry, let me start again. I would do Monday to Friday at the cafe, 6 a.m. till 3 p.m. And every second Saturday doing the same hours. But then I would also work Bella Vista Hotel 5 p.m. till midnight or 1 a.m. At minimum 5 nights a week as well. So whatever I was earning at Bella Vista Hotel was funding my wage because the cafe was so dead. But it was also money that I was investing into buying better equipment or doing bits and pieces to do up the shop. And so I probably did that for about 7 months or so. And during that time, I used to stand out. I just remember that the train station was 100 meters up the street, and Macca's head office in Thornley is about another 100 meters down the opposite direction. So everyone would get public transport because there was no parking around. And they get off, and everyone's got their headphones in, and they walk past. And I remember standing out the front. It's just crazy. That I would have to stand out the front and be like, hello, how are you? Kind of, not today, kind of thing. Or just got my headphones in. Oh, just,
Wow.
oh, man. And it just infuriated me because I had the same 10 customers all day, every day. And I was just like, why the fuck are people not coming here? Mm-hmm. And so I tried different tactics. I asked my mate Sam, hey, can you put a new A-frame out for me? And it said under new management, and I got like an extra 2 people a day from that. And then all my friends that worked at the pub with me, if they weren't sleeping, they would come visit me, and like I'm so grateful for those day one customers. For the other people, that just over time I'd just be like, hey, you got a coffee in your hand. Like, what are you drinking? Cappuccino. Okay, cool. No worries. I'll make one for you tomorrow. Oh, no, it's fine. I like getting it from my place, kind of thing. And I just remember time after time after time, I had a trestle table out the front. I had flat whites, I had cappuccinos, I had lattes, I had mochas, hot chocolates, and back then it was only full cream and skim. Soy wasn't even around at this stage. Like, this is how far back we're going on this stuff. And I would literally just hand out for free just to get people to try it.
Wow.
And the amount of people that were just like, yeah, no, it's not good. I'm just like, fuck.
Yeah.
How do I get better, kind of thing?
So, sorry to cut you off again.
Yeah.
So at this stage, you've been working there for 7 months, also doing the nights at Bella. Have you had much experience yet making coffees, or is it just on the spot kind of learning?
It was on the spot learning.
Okay.
Back then, no one really wanted to teach you because it was latte art had only just become a thing. I remember the first ever guy that did latte art around the Hills district. His name was Sam. He worked at the Baron. He was the manager there. And in my eyes and a lot of other people's, he was like the elite, like the best of the best. Yeah. So on days off that I had, I would go visit and I'd be like, holy shit, Sam, like, how do you do this? Yeah. Like, he would do all the tulips and the rosettas, all the fancy stuff, and I'd just be like, it's so symmetrical. Like, all I couldn't even do a love heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I begged him, and he's like, oh, I can't really tell you my secrets because my bosses would think that you'll go work for the competition and, you know, you'll steal our customers.
Yeah.
And he didn't say that specifically, but that was the kind of culture that was within the industry at the time.
Okay.
So it just came down to practicing, asking people, what is it? Do you like this? Do you not like this? But also going to numerous other cafes. Like, the Grounds had just opened up at that stage, and we all know the Grounds being a massive, massive thing. But yeah, it just came down to practice and being there, showing up all day, every day. Like, I think that's something that still kind of resonates with me, is that I have to, I'm not so much hands-on controlling, but I'm still the first one in the door and the last one out, even to this day now.
Wow.
Not every day.
Yeah.
Of course, I've had to step back over time.
Yeah.
And enjoy a bit of life.
As you should, dude. As you should.
At the same time, at least 5 days a week, I'm still first one in, last one out. So,
man, that's crazy. I'm thinking of where this place would have been at Thornley too. Since you mentioned the Macca's head office, that's wild, because that's my old man works there. So there's probably been stages in time when you have given my old man a coffee.
You never know.
He doesn't work at the Macca's.
I'm sure if we dragged him in and said, do you remember that shitty cafe behind the car dealership?
Yeah.
Because that's what it was.
Wow.
Like, not to name names, but the guy that owned the car dealership got found guilty for wanting back odometers on used cars.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that's crazy.
It was dodgy as shit.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You don't have to answer this question. I'm happy to take it out if you do want to just tell me personally. But back then, because it's been a while, then it would have been, you said 13 years ago or so since you started. Was that
12 years ago? 12 years ago now.
How much was a cafe selling for something like that back in the day?
So the average rule is usually 20 times what your gross turnover is a week.
20 times?
Yeah.
Oh, 20 times per week, yep.
So, but this place was only serving 10 people a day. Yeah. So it was basically just buying the space of, so we still lease, we lease the space from the landlord, but we were buying the equipment basically off these guys to say, hey, you bought all of this stuff. It's a bit worn and torn, but here's some money. Thank you. And, yeah, see you later kind of thing.
Okay.
So we bought that for $12,000, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a good entry in the door to something like that.
Yeah. So I'm really grateful that my parents kind of gave me that push. I had a bit of money myself. I planned on going traveling for 2 years, and a few things came up at that time. Fell in love with a girl, and
that's always the story, isn't it?
didn't work.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful I came home, because not only did I have a great trip, but it also opened up this situation of the cafe. And yeah, it was one of those things of that. I remember telling Leon I had my first $100 day, and he just laughed at me. And then next thing you know, after a couple of months, I actually started to get a little busy, and I actually hired a former chef from Bella Vista as well that I made good friends with. His name was Andy, and I've got a great story for him later that I'll tell you.
Yeah, cool.
I actually had a beer with him yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Andy came on board with me. He took a major pay cut, but it was a Monday to Friday job and every second Saturday. And he helped. I had a 65-year-old Greek man who was just the creepiest guy ever. And I was like, nah, he needs to fucking go. Like, see you later. He was such a creep. Yeah, so I got rid of him. Andy came in, and Andy is a superb chef. It was still, early days for him as far as like growing in his career. So he didn't know food costings, but it gave him the freedom to actually write a breakfast menu and do stuff like that. So, but he knew how to cook, and that was the most important thing. So having Andy come in, I was like, oh, we got a new menu. And people were like, oh, well, let's go try the food. And so people would, we instantly went from like 20 people a day to 50 people a day.
Wow. Just
for the food.
Wow.
And I'd be like, can I get you a coffee? And everyone would be like, fuck no. Yeah. Oh, it's just the biggest insult. But over time, I got a little bit better, and I made some friends in the industry who were also, shout out to Mick. Michael Fagaloon, we grew up together in the way of that we both worked at the same Portuguese takeaway restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
We both did delivery driving, and then we both got into bartending, and then we both got into cafes around the same time.
Wow.
And Mick was always one step ahead of me, and I hated that.
Yeah.
But it was a friendly rivalry. And Mick was very nice enough to kind of give me a couple of helps and tips and tricks, and that really helped my career as well. So I appreciate him, and he makes a appearance in the story later as well.
Nice.
Yeah, so I got a little bit better. Andy's cooking was sensational, and I met a guy named Sam, and Sam is the owner of Grand Cru Coffee. Sam took me under his wing. He basically walked in and said, hey, I see a lot of potential in you, but you're an unclean, messy motherfucker. You got no idea what you're doing. Like, let me help you kind of thing. And so he took me under his wing, and each week he would come in and piss me off and be like, this is not clean, this is not that, make me a fucking latte. And there were certain elements of it that I loved it and I hated it, but he really helped me with my career and becoming a proper barista. And in coffee terms, we talk about kilos of coffee. So one coffee bag is usually 1 kilo. When I first started, we would do 1 kilo of coffee, which is roughly 40 cups of coffee, I guess, in a week. Wow. So Monday to Friday, which is really not much. So, as I said, we were lucky to do 10 customers a day when we started.
Yeah.
Within that 7 months or so, we had probably got to maybe 6 or 7.
Wow.
So we really started picking up. And Sam would pester me and be like, "Oh, you need to do this," and I'd be like, "But Sam, your coffee." He put a kilo of his coffee in the machine, and I tried it, and it was that single-handed moment that I sipped, and I went, "Holy shit, that's what coffee is meant to taste like."
Okay.
And I begged him, and I was like, "I want to use your coffee," and he goes, "Fuck no."
Yeah.
He goes, "You got to get to 12 kilos of coffee before I even think about giving you coffee." So
Wow.
it drove me as motivation of like, how do I sell more coffee? Do I just tip some back into the bin to build up?
How much
But no.
coffee can I drink a day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just got down to like Instagram became a thing, trying to get customers through that, really just learning to talk to customers and, figure out, diving into a bit more personal relationship than just a very surface level work, hello, what can I get you kind of thing. So I learned so much along that way, thanks to all the people that I've mentioned before. And then I just remember about 7 months into the shop, I was heading back from the city one afternoon, and I actually had a car accident and I broke my neck in 3 different places.
Wow, Jesus.
Yeah, so that was a bit interesting.
You said you were driving home from the city, yeah?
Yeah, so I'd finished work. I had to go to the city to pick up, I think, a costume for a very close friend's 21st birthday. So I was 21 at the time.
Yeah.
Living life to the fullest.
You're still only 21 at this stage.
Yeah.
Damn, bro. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So,
Would you say it was a contributing factor, the fact that you were working so much and that you were doing days and nights, or it wasn't your fault for the accident at all? Like,
no. So I think for the accident itself, lack of experience driving certainly had a factor, but I had this guy that was just merging in between traffic. He was honking his horn, flashing his lights, and he was driving this convertible. And he'd be like, move, and you could hear him for a couple of minutes before the accident of him just trying to wedge his way through. And he had come up beside me. I was in the right hand lane, he was in the left, and he's sped up, tried to merge in front of me, and then merged back into his left lane. But what I didn't realize is that the reason because he merged back into the left lane is because someone had come to a stop to turn right into a side street. And so I got distracted, focused on him, and by the time that I could even hit the brakes, it was already too late.
Wow.
And my airbag didn't go off, and my neck went over the steering wheel like that.
Oh, fuck.
So,
wow.
yeah, I used to get nightmares of reliving that moment over and over and over again, and it took me a long time to get over that. I had a lot of resentment and a lot of depression from reliving that moment over and going, my life has changed because of it. It brought I was in hospital for just under a month or so, had full spinal fusion with, I'd say it's about 15 centimeters of titanium and 6 screws fused into my spine now.
Wow.
So that was pretty crazy. Like, it was a very emotional time. The weird thing is that when I had the accident, my chest had crushed into the steering wheel. The airbag had not gone off. And I just remember, like, over the top of the steering wheel going, this is it. Like, I can't breathe. I'm going to die in this very point. And I just remember being able to see, for context, there was a 16-year-old kid driving his parents' brand new BMW. And it was 2 weeks old. 2 weeks old. He's on his L's. His dad's in the passenger seat. His mum's in the back seat. And I just remember the mum getting out and watching. She looks and she goes, fuck! You fucking idiot! You fucking hit our car! And it was just I'm still there, like struggling to breathe at this point. I can't move. And here she is, like whacking the car, and I'm thinking to myself as she whacks my car, like, is the airbag gonna like explode on me? And luckily it didn't. But she realized at that stage when the kid came out crying, the dad actually looked at me and he was like, "Fuck, like, think this guy's hurt," kind of thing. And I just remember they try and open my doors, and the doors wouldn't open from the crush. It just wasn't able to happen. And I just remember being able to catch my breath. I literally went, and as I moved my head, the seatbelt fucking threw me back, whiplash into the back of the headrest. And it was, it was a weird fucking experience. Like, I actually had to climb over the back seat and get out one of the passenger doors there. Driving a little Mazda 2 at the time.
Yeah.
One of the old school shoebox ones.
Yeah, it's always a 21-year-old car. Yeah.
My first car.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, I got out and I just remember being abused by the parents and trying to explain to them what had just happened from my experience. And they were like, "Nah, fucking bullshit. Like, you were texting."
Yeah.
And I was like,
No.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
I took my eyes off. Yes, I'll admit to that. But the cops came, the fireys came, and I was in a bit of pain. I thought I had broken a couple of ribs at this stage, but my neck didn't seem bad at that stage. I just obviously was in a bit of shock. I felt the pain, and I called my mum. I remember calling my mum, because it was only 5 minutes down the road walking from where I had the accident. And because of where I've done, I've actually gone over the opposite side of the road. So I'm blocking 3 lanes of traffic. It was pretty bad. Like,
yeah. Man, I can relate to that moment exactly. Yeah.
Sorry for the Friday 5 p.m. traffic.
Yeah.
But I remember calling her and I said, "Hey, I think I'm okay, but the police want me to go to the hospital and get checked out anyway, just so you know. You should probably walk up because you ain't getting up here by car." She goes, "Okay, as long as you're fine." And I was given my police report, and the police didn't believe me because I wasn't able to get a license plate on the people that had the accident. Now, I remember it very clear, but at no stage was I actually focusing on a license plate.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, if you can't get a license plate, then it's a waste of time. And I'm not putting in the report." And that, I then got pissed off, and the police officer said, "Can you please put into a sentence with the actual evidence that we have here today what happened?" And so I said, "I took my eyes off the road, got distracted by another driver, and hit the car in front." Now, that's actually, on context, has gone to court. And because I wasn't able to get the license plate, nor did I mention the person driving, that's what's been used as evidence in the court for my court case for my neck as far as insurance goes.
Wow.
So probably could have got a bit more of a payout that way, but it is what it is at the end of the day. It took a year or so before that actually the case closed on that. And I am quite pissed off that the car never got checked. It essentially got crushed straight after the event. There was no check as to why the airbags never went off.
Wow.
So that lived with me. That ate at me for a really long time. And I've kind of just had to let that go of going, it is what it is. Like, that money could have made a difference, but also for the fact of, why did that airbag never go off? Would I have ever broken my neck because of that situation? So it's frustrating, but it is what it is now. And it's only for telling the story that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, of course.
But I just remember after I get that statement, I have my phone.
Yeah. It's gone.
Sorry. And I just remember getting a phone call, and I dropped it. And as I went to go reach for it, something clicked in my neck, and it felt like a million hot knives just piercing every single millimeter of my skin.
Oh.
And it was the most intense and painful thing I've ever had in my life. And yeah, that still haunts me to this day. That pain right there, it's unexplainable, but I just fell to the floor and everyone pinned me down, and essentially I just got rushed straight off to hospital for that. They gave me the green whistle, and I'm just like, oh fuck, like what's going to happen to the cafe? And by this time my mum had come up and she was in the ambulance with me, and I was meant to be catching up with a friend of mine the next day at the cafe, and she had just been over in New Zealand studying for 6 months, and she's got a cafe background as well, and we were really close at the time. So I just remember calling her while I'm still on this stretcher in the back of an ambulance on the way to the hospital. Hey, Lauren, you know how you're meant to meet me at the cafe tomorrow? Well, can you like open the cafe with my mum tomorrow? And like, I don't remember much more details than that, but Lauren saved my ass, and she worked at the cafe for another 6 months or so.
Oh, bruh.
Yeah, so
Bruh.
I'm very lucky for some of these people that I have in my life. Honestly, like, they probably don't get the love and respect I should show them for how much they have done for me. So Lauren saved my ass, and she worked with Andy while I was in hospital, and probably having her, she did really good for the business as well. She definitely knew how to make coffee better than me. So, but yeah, I got out of hospital, and I could probably only stand up for about an hour a day with this full body brace from my hips to my neck. And, it was rough. It was very fucking rough. I couldn't go back to work at Bella. That's actually why I stopped. So the night before was my last shift ever with them. Yeah, so I just remember people, I would come into the cafe and I would sit on the stool with my neck brace on, and I'd sit at the stool, and Lauren would be making coffee and Andy be cooking, and be my job to take the orders at the till. And so I'd be there with my neck brace on. Hi guys, how are you? Having here or takeaway? And people would look at me and be like, what the fuck? Like, you should be at home. Or like what are you doing here? And I'd be like, I have to make this work.
Yeah.
Like, I have no choice.
Dude, all right, I'm going to have to stop. This is so far one of the best stories. I never expected to get this good of a story, but I can't skip past the fact that you're so young at this point. You've been through this horrific accident, and you've got this drive to continue to be at work. Like, where did that come from? Where did that feeling of just being like, I have to show up, like I have to, like, before we get to that, let me rewind a little bit and say the money that you were earning from being at Bella, how much of that was needed to be put into the business to keep the business sustainable? Because it sounds like you've got a chef that you have to pay, ingredients you have to buy. You're only doing it at this point a kilo at the beginning, a kilo a week. So and I asked this question for a piece of advice for anyone who is, and I'm going to ask a few of these questions, who wants to get into running their own business and starting a cafe and things like this. How much did you need to continuously put in at this point?
So the numbers that I can remember, my rent was $300 a week when I first started. A cup of coffee was $3 for a small, $3.20 for a large. The cost of kilo bean, I couldn't tell you back then, but I would say it's around the $20 mark. I think around that point. Milk was cheap, really cheap back then. So I think to actually make a cup of coffee was around the 30 cent mark, 40 cents if it was extreme. And that's including all your labor goods of water, gas, electricity,
carb,
rent.
all that stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was super, super cheap back then. So, only serving 10 customers a day definitely didn't pay the bills.
Yeah.
I think I was paying my chef $100 a day at that stage. He was a former owner of the shop, actually. He literally just didn't enjoy retirement.
Yeah.
And so he's just like, I get to see all the customers I used to serve. So $100 a day, he was probably the biggest bill because we would only order in what we needed. So we go to Woolies or Coles and just get some bacon, some eggs. Bacon egg roll was our main seller back then, and always was for that 3 years that we were there. But it really got to the stage when I had to let that chef go and get Andy to come in. He took a major wage cost, and we were talking about this yesterday of just if it was more successful, then obviously we would have looked after him better. But for him, it was also a good stepping stone in his career as well. He's now the head chef at Hotel Pennant Hills, and he's thriving there.
Wow.
And super proud of where he's at and what he's doing. Yeah, so I think at that stage he ended up being maybe just over $1,000 a week.
Oh wow, wow.
So you go from 5 days, $500 to 1,000, maybe 1,100, plus all your bills and everything like that. So I think break even would have been about $2,000, and I think I was barely cracking, 300, 350 just over rent to start off with. But then when Andy's food started taking up, we started doing $300 a day, $400 a day. So we ended up getting to that stage, and this is before, like, no one had a debit card back then, or if you did, you'd have to go to the ATM and pull money out. Like, there was no real EFTPOS machines existed, but they were such a pain. Like check or savings or credit, having to sign. Like, it's so long ago.
See,
like,
I've never grown up in that world, to be honest.
90%, 95% was all cash.
Wow.
So if you used to hate, when I worked in the pubs, you used to hate when someone wanted to pay with a card, because he'd be like, all right, you need to walk around to this side of the bar and do this. And then like the first time, all right, check or savings, type the pin in, it goes failed, and you're like, all right, check or savings. Oh, actually it's check. All right. You waste so much time.
Yeah.
And then here we are now, it's just tap, 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 tap.
I just use my phone, dude.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
We've gone from just cash to just tap now on your phone.
Wow. Because, I guess when I was 10 years ago, I would have been 14, 15. So, only time I ever bought anything was probably like, say, go in to buy a shirt from the store. And I do remember that check, savings, whole shenanigans.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
I mean?
At school, you have your bank card.
Yeah. But as far as my memory can stretch right now, I've been using my phone to pay for everything. And, like, I can't imagine hospitality back then,
Yeah, it was a different thing, but like it was a whole different kettle of fish. Like back then, stealing was so much easier. Like just being able to sneak into your pocket, camera CCTV footage wasn't if the business had it back then, kind of thing. I just remember I worked at KFC. KFC was my first ever job. And I think I was there for about 5 months or so. And there was 3 tills, and I worked on the right-hand till. And the till on the left-hand side, 2 girls were working on that one throughout the night. And $50 was missing from that till. And they had gone home, and this manager single-handedly pointed me out, pulled me aside at the end of the night, made me stay back. And he went through my wallet, my locker, went through my clothes, and insisted that I stole the $50. And like, I tried explaining to him, like, how is it that we've watched the camera footage twice from the till of the missing money? I did not touch it once that entire, but yet here I am, a 15-year-old kid, this guy's like 4 times my age, 5 times my age, like intimidating me,
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It sounds like it was a whole different time.
Yeah,
back
it was
then.
man. I got thrown into a fridge.
Yeah.
I just remember like I quit that night. Like I was never coming back after
Yeah,
that.
of
Like,
course.
and those are the kind of things in hospo, that I'm glad we moved away from. But yeah, stealing back then was 100 times easier. Whereas now, if you can't steal anything off people, when people tap on their
Yeah.
phones, kind of thing. But
Wow. So it sounds like in the beginning, most of the money you were probably earning from bartending was going back to keep the business afloat.
yeah, I think I would say that if the shop was, let's say, I'd take home $2,000 out of the whole week, I think I might have $300 left over for myself. And so, that might go towards new tabletops that we got, or new salt and pepper shakers, this, that, whatever. And there was always something, but I feel like I was also greedy in the way of I wanted to have a beer with a friend and everything. So not everything went towards the cafe, but it was
it's still a good.
yeah.
You still have to invest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was a while where, especially when I broke my neck, and had Andy working for me, and Lauren as well, I had to, like, their bills were a bit more expensive. It wasn't adding up, but clearly, if I was doing a neck brace, we just had to make it work, and so I had to borrow some money for a bit, but I think it would have been maybe after a year or so, it started to break even a little bit more. And, I'd hired one or two other staff members by this stage. And I think we started to get around that 10, 11, 12 mark. So I'm hitting up Sam. I'm like, I'm getting closer. I'm getting
Yeah.
closer. And I think it wasn't until I actually did, once I got out of the neck brace 7 months later, I went back to TAFE and I did a small business course on a Saturday morning. It was the worst fucking class ever. Like, it was just PowerPoint slideshows, like 300 slides long.
Yeah.
That's all it was, taking notes. And you'd be like, can I take home the PowerPoint? And they're like, no. It's just like, what's the... Anyway, but it was actually that TAFE course that actually taught me, cost of goods and how you need to have X amount of margin.
Mm-hmm.
And so using those skills there, I actually ran it a bit more like a business instead of my passion is coffee. And don't get me wrong, like I'm still passionate about coffee as much as I am back then, if not more. But hospitality as a business, I knew nothing back then. So I felt like I was just showing up, trying to talk to people, enjoy a bit of life and a bit of fun at the same time. But then after breaking my neck, it was kind of like, oh, well, I guess I have to make this my career. So I have to actually start focusing on it a bit more. So
It's interesting that the TAFE actually gave you a lot of fundamental lessons to take away. And it's the same information I always hear from anyone who went to TAFE, as opposed to anyone who I know who's gone to uni. They say they've never used anything from uni, but TAFE just seems to be something that people always do get benefits from.
Yeah. I mean, I never went to uni, so I can't say anything about that, but I can say that, like, TAFE is much more personal and much more hands-on. Maybe not my class, but I have done other TAFE classes in my career as well. So,
Okay.
yeah, so...
And at this point as well, so you've been operating this store for a while. How did you get into... And you only just started drinking coffee a little bit before it. You didn't have much experience. What was it like, the process of the coffee world when it comes to... Because I don't know much about it, but I know that there's different types of beans from different parts of the world. And then, you have your combination blends. And I know a little bit about, the Ethiopian types. And then you get a blend of multiple different types together to create the different textures and flavors. But what did that whole journey look like from a learning perspective for you?
Well, it's funny. I'm actually probably learning more in the last 6 months to a year than I have in the last 5 years.
Wow.
When I got into coffee was very. You had the big roasters. You had Victoria. You had Toby's Estate. Campos had just come into the market. Everyone knows the green cup.
Oh man, Campos is
when
enormous.
Campos came around, that just if you didn't have the green cup, forget about it,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
And just on that, if they were just coming out at that point, was there a noticeable difference? And what is the differences between, especially in the beginning? Are they different? Are they from different parts of the world? Are they just hyped because they're popular? Like, what makes coffee different from the rest?
So I think Campos has been around, I think, almost 20 years or something. But it was at that point that someone in the company really took it from just being a coffee company to a massive marketing company.
Yeah, it became culture over coffee, didn't it?
So, but I think they took a different approach of that. Back then, coffee was meant to be strong, dark, and bitter, like the true Italian. I want a long black, but it needs to have a punch to it, kind of thing. Whereas they went for a bit more of a lighter roast. And this is me, no one else's opinion. I think I would compare Campos to their superior blend, which is the one that everyone drinks, as plain vanilla. Is that it's so milk-based that if you have an extra shot, it is a little bit stronger and it fits that category of what people want for a strong coffee. If you have a sugar in it, it's quite enjoyable. If you add caramel, then it's fine. If you have chocolate powder on top, it tastes fine. And I think that's something in the market where the Australian consumer didn't want that really dark sip of going, oh, like I get the jitters. Whereas this had a little, I'm not going to say it's less strong, but the flavor profiles is just a bit more realistic. They had good training programs. They were smart with the rollout of going, if you want to use our coffee, you have to be up to our standard. And if you're not our standard, then fucking forget about it, kind of thing. So They were the first ones to really come out there and go, this is our standard. We'll teach you how to get to that standard, but you can't have it.
That is phenomenal. I didn't know that. They took over culture then. They created an enterprise.
Yeah. And like I couldn't tell you the actual number, but they sold last year or the year before now.
Yeah.
To a massive US company, and like, you can get it in Woolies and Coles now. So
I didn't know that.
You'll see a lot more people moving away from having Campos in their cafe, because why should you pay more for it at a cafe when you can buy it at Coles and Woolies? And, obviously, people who've got coffee machines at home, my personal opinion is go out and support your local, buy from them. You're supporting someone in the community. It helps them pay their wages. It puts money in their pocket. And if you don't do that, it's not going to help. If you go and buy it from Woolies and Coles, we whinge about them holding the market all the time.
You're right.
Do it. Support local at the end of the day. Like, not just me, but like other people as well, because buying a kilo of beans pays an hour of a wage.
Oh,
and wow. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. So if you had 20 people doing that a day, like, cafe owners would be able to pay above the minimum wage. They would be able to treat their staff better. The good cafe owners, obviously there's some greedy ones out there as well.
Wow. Okay, well, you've definitely made me think of a couple of questions I want to ask you, but I want to get back to this timeline before I do. So you've been doing it for, are you still in your neck brace at this point? How long were you in the neck brace for?
I'd say we'd be in mid 2014 by now. 2014, we're a year and a half to almost 2 years in. Andy's my chef. It's myself, and I've got 1 or 2 staff members working for me at this stage. And we had a sign on Pennant Hills Road that a friend of mine actually made, and it said bacon egg roll and a coffee, $7. I think it said.
Oh, that's a good price, bruh.
Yeah. This is before inflation. It's crazy. Like coffee was still $3, $3.20 back then.
I haven't seen a song like that in a long time, bro.
Yeah, and a bacon egg roll was $5.
Yeah,
and you got 2 rations of bacon, 2 fried eggs, bit of salt and pepper, sauce of whatever you want, and on a long torpedo roll. That's what we did. And we used to get it from the bakery up the street. And I just remember we'd buy like a dozen a day kind of thing. If we sold out, we sold out. We put this sign on Pennant Hills Road, and this probably one of the most proudest achievements of my life. And I'm so happy about this. And we were discussing this yesterday. Ben Fordham from 2GB Radio. He's on Channel 9 News sometimes. Absolute legend of a bloke. Have not met this guy ever before. He walks in and I look at him and I'm like, I know you from somewhere, but I have no idea. Maybe I've crossed paths with you somewhere. And he goes, oh, I saw your sign, bacon egg roll and a coffee. Can I get a latte and a bacon egg roll and I'll get barbecue sauce on it? And I was like, oh, cool, no worries. $7, go sit down. And I made him a coffee, and by this stage, my coffee skills getting a little bit better at this. I could do a love heart by then.
Yeah, nice.
So proud of that.
Nice.
And Andy cooked this bacon egg roll, and he scoffed it down. I just remember that we had a few extra customers at this stage, so Andy was working away in the kitchen. But Ben came up to the counter and he goes, "Excuse me, mate. Who's the owner? Is it the chef in there?" And I was like, "No, actually, it's me." And he goes, "Mate, that was the best bacon egg roll I've ever had in my life."
Aww.
And he goes, "Can you please tell the chef that?" And I said, "Really? Like, this is incredible. Like, I love hearing that." And he goes, "Tell me more, tell me more." And I'm like, "Oh, Matt, I'm 23 years old or 24 years old at this stage. I've had this cafe for 2 years." He goes, "Mate, this is sensational." I'm just like, "Who are you?" kind of thing. And he's like, "Oh, my name's Ben." "Oh, nice to meet you, Ben." He goes, I'm on 2GB Radio." And I went, "Holy shit, that's where I know your voice from. My old man listens to this all day, every day. Like, that's where I know your voice from."
Yeah.
And like, mind blown at that stage.
Of course.
And he gives me his card and he goes, "I want you to be listening to me at 5 p.m. this afternoon." It's Friday. I was like, "Oh, okay, cool, no worries." Like, still like 8:30 in the morning or something like that.
Yeah.
So like, I'm hyped, I'm pumped.
Yeah.
Like, it was the coolest feeling in the world. And so Andy and I actually closed up shop early. We went to the pub, to the Hotel Pennant Hills, where he's now the head chef of. And we got on the beers, and I called almost everyone that would be interested. I said, "Come to the pub or make sure you're listening." And 5 o'clock comes around and we say to the licensee, like, "Please turn the music off, put the radio on. Like, we gotta hear this. We gotta hear this." And half an hour goes by and he still hasn't spoken about it. And we're just like, fuck. Like, has he set me up here? Like, is he gonna say something or not?
Did he forget?
And he goes, "I just want to take this moment and talk about bacon egg roll that I had this morning. Chef named Andy and young business owner named Matt. It was the best bacon egg roll I've ever had." And he, no joke, talked about us for about 5 minutes on the radio.
Wow.
And everyone in the pub is just like high-fiving and cheersing, and it was such a fucking unreal experience to be. Not only, I always have dreamt of, like, I see people on the news and big successful cafe owners and them living at like such a big career, and I'd be like, I want to get to that level. How do I get to that level? How do I get to having the cult following that you have, or like be as busy as what you are? And in that moment there, I'm just like, this is the coolest thing I've made it. Like,
Yeah.
nothing else compares.
Yeah.
And Andy, who's had way too many beers, goes outside and he actually calls up 2GB radio and he goes, "G'day, Fordo. I cooked your bacon egg roll today." And so they start having a conversation for the next 2-3 minutes as well. And we, at this stage, we're selling 12 bacon egg rolls a day. Sometimes a few more, sometimes a bit less. The next day, we sold 140 bacon egg rolls.
Bruh, fuck.
That's
crazy.
So we're in Thornley, yeah?
Oh, I swear to God, you just made me emotional hearing that, bro. That's insane.
It was cool.
Oh my God.
The power of radio, social media, and everything like that. In this case, we went viral.
Yeah.
Over the radio.
Fuck, bro. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. We had cops, our first customers of the day, dead set, put the roller shutters up. There's 4 cop cars out the very front. Andy, because I couldn't drive at that stage, Andy picked me up from the bakery every morning and I'd have the buns. And we got 24 rolls that day. We had sold the rolls out within 20 minutes. These cops came from Roselle. So we're in Thornley and they've come all the way from Roselle to come try the best bacon egg roll in Sydney. Our phone was off the hook. G'day, we need 16 bacon egg rolls. We need 4 of them with cheese, 4 of them with hollandaise sauce, 4 of them sweet chili sauce.
Oh
like,
my God.
It was the coolest thing. Like, almost immediately, we did 140
Wow.
that day.
And just for perspective, what's a busy bacon egg roll store sell? Like, would it be selling anywhere near that? Would it be
honestly? I got no clue.
Yeah.
I got no clue
That sounds
as
like
far
a
as
lot.
this. But like, I think at that stage, I couldn't tell you the actual numbers of what else we were doing that day. But I used to have a notepad, and I write down how I would keep score of how many coffees that I do. And I was too cheap to have a POS system. So everything was handwritten because it was still very much cash back then as well. And so one line would be one order and the tiny little notepad would be flipping it over. So you get about 60 orders on one page kind of thing. I go through about 3 or 4 pages a day. So ultimately, Andy's food actually brought a lot more people in. And so coffee started getting up. So I finally hit 12 kilos within the next few weeks or so. So I called up Sam and I was like, "Sam, I fucking want your coffee." And he's like, "Let's do it."
Oh.
So, but back onto the bacon egg roll thing, like I couldn't tell you, like we're a very, very small time cafe. Mm-hmm. So for us, if we did over 60 meals a day, that was a good day for us.
Yeah.
It probably, I had my first $1,000 day round about that time. And I remember speaking to the Colossumos and being like, "I had my first $1,000 day." And they're like, "Yeah, good on you. Finally, you're getting there. You're not there yet, but you're getting there." And I was just like,
bro, they got some money, I'll tell you that.
Dude,
Dude, I heard a story once where they bought UFC tickets back when I was working in the brewery for, I think it was like $45,000 a ticket or something like that.
Wow. Just out of curiosity, when did you work for them at the brewery?
So I was doing the refrigeration as a first year apprentice back then.
Yep.
I would have been this sort of, let's just say 9 years ago, would have been what, 2016 maybe?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Maybe
I was already come and gone since then. Ah, damn.
But I reckon we know the same faces from the
Christmas
kitchens.
Eve at the brewery. Timmy Trumpet, Starfuckers, Will Sparks.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 2013 Christmas Eve. Like, the line was down Anning Grove Road, over a kilometre long. People waited hours to get in, if they were even lucky.
See, the time I even walked in the door for the first time as an apprentice, I was only 14 or 15. Like, the brewery day's already over.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, memories. Memories. But yeah, it was just one of those things of that for the following 2 weeks or so, Andy and I were getting in an hour early, the bakery would get pissed off with us because they'd be like, we can't make this many rolls. And it was just like, we want to support you. We want to use your rolls because they're soft, they're great, they're large. We don't want to use the other shit.
Yeah.
And so eventually they caved in and we paid them a little bit more, and then they started delivering to us halfway through the day so we didn't have to leave the shop. Because that was the worst thing in the world, is that I would get stuck with coffees, or I would go into the kitchen and one of the staff would try and do coffees out the front, and people would be like, no, it's just not Andy's bacon egg roll. And it's that 15-minute round trip for him to go get the buns, bring them back. People would just wait for him. Next thing you know, hey, Andy, you got like 45 bacon egg rolls. And he had a grill. No joke. Would have been like this big. You can get 2 eggs, maybe 4 if you're lucky, and 2 rations of bacon. So you're only able to cook 1 bacon egg roll at a time.
Yeah.
So he had like 4 or 5 different pans going on the 2 burners that we had as well. It was just, honestly, it was chaos. And we laugh about it now, but he used to get so fucking pissed off. He'd be like, why the fuck did you take this? Have you told him it's going to take 20 minutes? Like, it was, we get to the end of the day, at 3 o'clock, and it'd be like 2:59, and he'd be like starting to clean up, be like, gonna be out by 3:10 today. I want to go to the pub. I want to have a beer. And someone walk in, and he would just go, oh. And it just, you hated it because you didn't want to say no to the customer. And this is something that, over time has changed. And I think that's, unfortunately, I wish I didn't convert, but it's just how it is that I became much more business orientated to cook that one meal. We actually lose more money because we have to stay back, the amount of cost to return everything on, clean again.
Of course.
I think with inflation, it's really caused me to be much more business mind orientated than satisfying the customer. I think my motto back then was that I wanted to put smiles on people's faces, and that was originally my motto for Cafe House in Thornley, and what I wanted originally for Barista Shed as well. When we had the success of the bacon egg rolls, I was very lucky in meeting some people that were doing the development for Marsden Park. And at first, they gave me the opportunity, and they said, well, do you want to have a tenancy? Do you want to be the cafe there? And I was like, wow, like, fuck yeah. Like, let's do it kind of thing. And so I remember having that chat with my parents, and I remember my dad goes, well, let's do a franchise. Like, we should hit up Coffee Club or someone like that, because they'll have systems and procedures set in place, so it's not you having to guess everything. And I was like, no, fuck that. Like, I don't want to be held to doing what they want to do. Like, that's bullshit. This is shit. Like, let me come up, like, give me a couple of days to do my own thing. And so I just remember going to the pub one afternoon with Andy, and I think I got there at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. I left maybe at 1 a.m. or something like that. And I took my notebook and I wrote over 400 different names in the time that I was there.
Wow.
And there was a couple of repeats. There was about 20 repeats in there. But in the first 50, I actually wrote the Barista Shed. And so the next day, as hungover as I was, went through that list and I went, oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. And it just became that process of elimination until, like, this is it. This is the one. This is the one kind of thing. Like,
and that is the one, dude.
Yeah. And so at that stage, it was kind of like, all right, this is actually happening. So we met with the designers, and we met with the landlords, and had to take out a loan and all that fun stuff. And it was quite scary because it was like, shit, this is not like a $12,000. We're talking hundreds of thousands. And
Yeah. And at this point too, if we're going back 8 years or so, at this point, was it like 9 years because they hadn't started doing it yet?
Yeah.
There was nowhere near the infrastructure they have domestic wise. There wasn't the housing community they've got there. Like, was IKEA properly built?
IKEA had just probably opened around that time. The Masters Hardware, which is now the other homemaker centre now, that had been built at that time. I remember coming out there, like, there used to be a paintball on Richmond Road, which I'm sure a lot of people will remember going to that one. You would only come out this way for that paintball. Nothing else.
There was nothing, dude.
No, it was 2 lanes each way. And the process of where it is now, like I remember, I think Channel 7 did a news article on it a couple of years ago when Costco first opened up, and they called it the $1 billion mile.
Well, was there the Maccas or anything like that yet? The Bunnings?
The Maccas had been built by that stage. So it was just Maccas, IKEA, and Masters, and then our centre was being built at that time. And for anyone that knows Barista Shed or outside the cafe, like, it's just road rage central. Like, the horns are going 24/7. There's not a shortage of cars.
Oh, that's one of the most busiest complexes today.
I hate the traffic.
I remember back, call it 5, maybe 6, 7 years ago, I first started going there. I could park any time of any day right at the front. You know what I mean?
Like actually on the road.
Yeah.
You could actually park on the road. That was just what I was going to say too, is that I used to be able to count the amount of cars that used to come past.
Yeah.
So it's just going from, I think there's well and truly over 20,000 homes now in the Marsden Park area. So it was pretty cool opening up there when there was no one else around. It was just the tradies. And obviously we had met during that time.
Yeah.
I had broken fridge or something. Yeah, it was...
I think the cool room, I remember exactly. I think the cool room evaporator had a leak on it, and I came and replaced... No, it was the condensing unit on top of the...
Yep.
Maybe both.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that cool room unit has got some stories. Yeah, but it's broken down on me almost every summer, every year.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny enough, the company that you used to work for, they came out 2 years ago. Once again, before summer, the unit's starting to break down. And they're going, why do you have 4 individual fans? You should have a big, like, proper box fan. I said, well, I don't know any better. I just got told that this is what I needed. Okay, well, like, how much is it going to cost? And it was a lot of money. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I was like, yep, just do it. And I remember one of the boys was up there fixing it, and he fell through the roof.
Oh, that's right, because it had because it used to have a package thing, and then it had I installed that thing up. No. I installed that thing.
Oh, shit.
Because there was a big hole in the ceiling, and then I had to fill it with cool room panels.
Yes!
Wow.
So one of your mates fell fucking through it, and my chefs heard the noise, and they're like, oh, Matt, I'm like... busy. Like, you need to come out back. And I'm like, I fucking can't. Like, people are an 8-minute wait for coffee. You're telling me I got to come see this? Like, and then
that's so funny because I remember the day one of my mates called me to tell me he did that. I just didn't know where it was at. Wow.
Yep. So
that's insane.
Oh God.
Oh wow! All right, so take me back to when they proposed you this idea of taking on this business proposal of being one of the early guys in there. Did you have much understanding at the growth that this place was going to have? Did they tell you this is what? Did anyone know that was going to happen, or was it just more of like a shot in the dark?
It very much seemed like a shot in the dark, from my opinion, but. From the people that I was discussing with, like my dad's in property and the site out there, he knew very well. So for him, he was like, Marsden Park could be the next big thing. Like a lot of people will be moving into that area, and this is where we get all the very small housing, small little backyards, 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom kind of places. I'm not saying that they were the first in Marsden Park, but more of that entire suburb pretty much was created because of it. And so that housing estate was about 9 minutes up drive. And I just remember as people moved in, they would have to drive 9 minutes down because I was the closest cafe to come visit to. So I met all these people 8 years ago, and some of them are still coming in to this day. And I'm very grateful for the people that I've made friends with. And for the ones that I don't see at all, but I'll put a story up and they'll send me a message. Yeah. And it's really cool that I have that love and respect for people, and that's my motivation to keep going. So when I said before that putting smiles on faces, I'm still very much about that, but I've learned over time that I have to be business orientated and I have to draw the line with being friends with staff, and money comes first in certain circumstances, and I've got to look after myself. Like, I got a mortgage now. I get married in 7-8 weeks from now.
That's crazy.
Like, I need to be able to take time off. I need to be able to spend time with my partner, Sophie. I need to be able to afford a lifestyle. And this is where I don't want to dwell on it too much, but when people go, Matt, the cafe is so busy. Like, yeah, sure, the cafe is busy. I built it up to where it is now that we can do. At one stage, we were serving close to 900 cups of coffee a day.
Whoa.
Pre-COVID, we did some
18
insane
kilos.
numbers.
More than 18 kilos, something like that.
More than 18 kilos a day. I think at our best, we were doing 110 kilos a week.
Wow.
7 days.
Bro, hey, Sam.
Yeah.
Suck my dick.
Funny you mentioned that.
Yeah.
So I had swapped over to Sam at the old shop, and ultimately, I think I went from 12 kilos to 18 kilos overnight, just through the fact that the coffee tasted much nicer, but all the training and skill that he gave me, I was faster. It was a better quality of cup. People actually enjoyed it over the other competitive cafes. And that was something I was really proud of. So I think we got up to about 22 kilos towards the end of the 3 years. And we actually got to our third birthday where the landlord had changed the rent. It was a bit dodgy. We went from $300 when we first started. It went from 300 to 400, 400 to 600, 600, 800, 800, 1200.
Wow.
By the time that we hit our third birthday, a cup of coffee was $3, maybe $3.30 for a small and $3.50 for a large. So it hadn't gone up that much, but in 3 years, that was something. But to then do $1,200 worth just in rent, then the wages and everything up, this is when cost of goods started to slowly come up. I think I was doing that bacon egg roll deal for $10 by the end of it, just to cover cost. And my landlord put the price up, and we were getting close to the building had commenced out at Marsden Park, so we kind of decided we're just going to close our doors. We'll take what we need and we'll call it a day. And I went and worked in North Sydney for a place that served the grounds coffee, which was doing similar numbers to what Barista Shed was doing in its heyday. And it was something stupid. Like, every day was 1,000 coffee day. Yeah. Like, I must have been the worst fucking employee as well.
Yeah.
because I just worked for myself for 3 years. I'd put that on my resume, and they're going, "Oh, he's got some fucking experience." Like, but I'd never worked in something so busy before. Like, they would have plates, like the plates that the cups go on. The color would represent what the drink is. So green would be a flat white, gray would be a cappuccino, and white would be a latte. But on the inside of the cup would have a little line with 22 mils. And so you had to have exactly 22 mils over 28 seconds of coffee.
What?
And if it wasn't right, the guy that I worked under, Mick, different Mick, he'd put it up to my face and he goes, "What is this? This is shit." And he would throw it on me.
Oh.
So I ended up, I think I was there for about a total of 4 months or so working under Justin. And Mick, I'd bring 2 or 3 shirts a day because he kept throwing stuff on me. That's how bad of an employee I was. Like,
That's a fucking dick of a boss.
I started wearing an apron
Yeah.
just to cover it. But like,
Fucking need a
it taught me, like, I always have suffered from anxiety, and I panic a lot, and I stress and get snappy when I'm anxious, and I was super anxious. So my job was to put the handle under the grinder, press the button, and tamp it and put it into the machine and turn them. So it had a slap paddle on off situation. So it wasn't just a button with automation of, it was a manual mode coffee machine.
Yeah.
So I fucked up trying to be an octopus, like trying to move to keep up while looking at the time, slapping on, slapping off, and then making sure I've got the coffee right and I'm tamping it right. It was just 4 hours of just non-stop mayhem. And this Mick guy, like, I got a lot of time for him. He's a beautiful human being, but my God, he terrified me at work. But it definitely taught me a lesson or two. So I'm grateful for that. But fuck, it was rough. Like, I'd be in tears after 4 hours being like, I hate this. Like, I don't want to come back tomorrow. I got abused. But really, it just made me stronger. But it also taught me that if I want to be busy, I have to be able to do that kind of thing. It really opened my eyes of, like, I've gone from this small time cafe to what I used to do in a whole day, they could do in an hour. It was just crazy. They could, what I did in a whole week, they could do in one day. Like, it was really eye-opening in that kind of experience. So when Barista Shed did open up, I felt a lot more confident in my skills, but also as a manager, I learned a few tricks off Mick and the owner, Justin, to manage a team and how to talk. And I had some staff that I had employed purely to help run the business with me, to teach me along the way of what their skills are, because they had much more experience than me. And my friend Michael, who was my rival, he actually came on as my head barista. So I said to him, "Hey, quit your job, come work for me, but be in charge of the coffee." And it was really cool. Like, I loved working with him for the couple of months that he did. And he actually went on to open his own cafe, his own dream cafe. And I'm so proud of him because he did really, really well. So, yeah. Happy for him. But the others that I had, there was a lot of toxic traits, even from the first day. I think one of the stories that I hate telling, but I also need to tell, is that I was trying to meet and greet every single person that came through the door.
Is that the Barista Shed?
Yeah, at Barista Shed. Yeah. So Cafe House is done now. Andy's gone on to move to Hamilton Island. He's living his best life up there.
Wow.
And I just remember one girl that I had employed to be like my front of house girl and keep that kind of going. I was talking to a couple of customers and I said to her, "Oh, do you mind clearing that table?" And she told me, "Get fucked, you can do it yourself."
Oh, far out.
And it just burnt me alive, purely for the fact of, one, you don't talk back to your boss, I'm paying you. But two, like, this is your first day, like literally the first day, and you're already back chatting in this kind of thing. Now, that should have been red flag number one in its way. If they're back chatting on the first day, like, yeah, sure, I had to learn how to do everything myself. There was a lot of things in this, in a much bigger environment, managing a bigger team, but also being on top of cleaning, how to handle ordering, and there was jumping from small fish to a big pond was insane. Like, I reckon I'd be leaving, like, I'd get there at, I think Mick and I were getting to work on 5 a.m. just when we first opened up. And I'd be leaving around 8:30 p.m.
Damn.
Like, the shop would close at 4 p.m. and I'd be staying back because my mind would just be like, fuck, have I done this yet? Or I haven't thought of that. Or, like, I need to get the marketing. I need to put something up on Instagram. But then I haven't replied to the 30 phone calls that I got. Like, I got to get back to them. There was always something. And time management is not my thing.
Yeah.
But I've definitely got better with it over time. But I think that first red flag there of having those two people that I employed to kind of help me run the business almost kind of took advantage and was like, no, you got to do the hours. You got to be here, first one in the door, last one out. Like, you have to be able to do everything. And I completely agree on that one. But I think what I set out to do of putting smiles on faces and how I wanted things to do, I feel that I valued their opinion too much, but I also gave them too much reach, and they took it for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah, lesson learnt. So, but I employed this guy to help teach me how to run this business, and he would just kick, scream, whinge, be like, if it was my business, we'd be doing so much better. You're the reason this business doesn't work. You are the cancer. You are the toxic.
Wow.
And I instantly walked in from this business being like, I know how I'm going to handle things. I'm going to do it this way. Here's my 5-year plan. And it essentially within 3 months just got destroyed. Like, I had no, I just felt useless. Like, every day I got told how shit I was, how I'm bad for business, how I could have handled things better. Now, granted, I wasn't great. I definitely didn't take criticism very well back then. No one really does.
No. I'm terrible at it.
It was hard. It was hard. Like, trying to learn 200 things at once. It was a lot to learn. Like, it was a big learning curve. I think I worked 17 days straight or 18 days straight before I got my first day off. And I just remember it was my friend Haley's birthday that night, and I said I wouldn't miss it for the world. And I just remember arriving late to dinner that night, still in my work clothes. And I arrived and essentially sat down, said hello to everyone. I actually fell asleep in the restaurant.
Oh.
It was so embarrassing. Not only that, but then my friend's new boyfriend, which was his introduction to the group that night, actually ended up driving me home in my car that night. Thank you, Nino. but yeah, I was so exhausted. I just remember going to work the next day, trying to power through, and I fell asleep in my chair in the
Wow.
office, or what was my office is now just storage.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was rough. Like, I'd never worked so hard in my life. It was just something I could never do it again. But I think you asked me before of like how did I do the hours? How did I just didn't know any better. But also for the fact of that I was motivated to do it. I wanted the money. I wanted to be a part of things. So by coming to work, I enjoyed being at work. I got to hang out with my friends. So, but at the cafe it was like, there was a lot of money I need to make back, and I had to be there to save on the wages, to learn everything. It just how it was. But yeah, it took me like the first year I lost, I think it was like $90,000.
Wow, bro. You know what?
Yeah.
That's insane, dude. That's insane.
But people would come in and be like, "Oh, you must be super successful. Like, you can shout me breakfast.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
you can buy, like, surely you can afford a coffee." Like, someone said it to me yesterday. People don't understand that it's not all rainbows and sunshines. And,
Yeah.
you know, recently I just had my car run into while I've been at work. I was working and this guy's smashed into my car, got out, looked at it and goes, "Oh, I'll go get a coffee from the coffee shop." And I actually served this motherfucker. But we didn't get a license plate, so we're still waiting to hear from this. But yeah.
Oh,
but like, yeah, I'm driving around a car with my side mirror falling off right now, kind of thing.
God.
So yeah, it's not always what you think it is, but it's the passion that drives you.
Yeah.
I still love when people say Barista Shed is my favorite place to go, or like your coffee is the best around. I mean, I've started roasting my coffee. I have been doing that for about 5 years now, where I've paid someone to, I've come up with the recipe and someone has created that for me. It actually took me to leave Sam from Grand Cru to go do this. So
Wow.
when you say "fuck you, Sam," like, I literally said like, "This, what you're charging me," and I didn't really. I was very naive at this stage. I had a lot of people in my ear saying like, "He's too expensive. Like, you can do better. Go out on your own. Do this, do that." And so, I did end up having that conversation with Sam, and I actually said it would take hell to freeze over before I'd have a conversation with him again.
Yeah.
And fast forward 5 years, we're actually like working alongside again. So I'm actually rebranding my coffee in the next few months to Catalyst Brew Coffee, and I'm going to take that coffee a bit more seriously, actually go out on the road and start door knocking on top of the cafe.
Wow.
We'll see how we go with that. But
Yeah.
um,
So almost like, and I might be wrong, but is it kind of like the same thing that Campos started doing in the beginning, or not the same thing? I'm very confused. When you say door knocking, are you selling your coffee to other cafes?
yeah, wholesaling.
Okay, yeah.
So we talked about the Colossimos again. I've always tried to keep a really great relationship with them. Ricky, the youngest brother,
I think he's the one that I met a few times. Ricky, yeah.
Yeah, the boxer.
I just remember the last names. And I remember all his macho men.
Yeah. They're very fit guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd come up with my recipe and I called it the Barista Shed Blend, and that was back in 2018. So I guess we're coming up 6 years now.
Yeah.
And I was really proud of that blend, and that's still to the day what we're serving here in Marsden Park. But it's also just after the first lockdown happened, Ricky gave me a call and he was managing the Governor Hotel in Macquarie. And it was around Christmas time at that stage, and he's like, "Hey mate, like my coffee machine's just broken. It's after 5 p.m. The people that we go through, they're not answering the phones. Like they're not gonna fucking answer. It's Friday, 5 p.m. Like, good luck. You know, you're on your own." And he goes, "Just out of chance, can you come in and have a look?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And so I went over, and it's something actually I was able to fix. And Ricky goes, "Mate, this is fucking incredible." And I said, "Well, thank you for calling me. Like, I got love for you guys. You guys did nothing wrong by me. You guys gave me a chance. So why shouldn't I help you?" kind of thing. And I said, "Well, here's a bag of my coffee. Like, you're running low. I'll put my coffee in." And I got a phone call from him a couple of days later, and he goes, "Matt, that coffee is insane." And I was like, I mean, like, thank you. Like, I'm really proud of it. Like, it's my baby. It's what I'm proud of. And he goes, "Would you ever be able to wholesale your coffee to us?"
Oh man, that's that's amazing.
And I was like, "What, really?" And he goes, "Yeah, like, it's awesome, but you need to buy us a machine."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh shit, okay." And back then, one of the main coffee machines that you usually see in cafes, La Marzocco. Usually in cafes, you got a 3-handle one. A 2-handle one, I think it cost me about $14,000 for one.
That's a lot of money.
Because there was a bit of like, this is just after the first lockdown, so shipping was starting to get a bit expensive. So I bought 2 of them. I needed to buy 2 of them. So without asking my accountant, I bought 2 of these machines, which was more than 50% of my bank account. Like, no safety net, no nothing. That's all I had. And I went and bought these machines. Then I had to buy grinders, and the grinders are about $4,000 each too. So honestly, like, I didn't have the money to do it, but my gut instinct was, if I can put my coffee into this venue, then hopefully I might be able to get into some of the other venues, and I'll be able to go through a bit more coffee. And with most coffee roasters, the more coffee you go through, they usually reduce the cost because you're going through enough. And so I went to the roasting company that I was getting them to roast for me, and I said, "Hey, I've just doubled my coffee overnight. Can you please bring my price down?" And they said, "Yeah, okay, we can bring it down by $2. So I would make $2 more per kilo." And so then the next thing you know, I get a phone call from Ricky and goes, Bella Vista needs coffee too. And I was like, well, fuck, I can't buy another $14,000 machine, but I mean, I can find you something else just as nice though. That's good for you guys. And so I went out and bought another machine. And by that stage, like, I'd used up a lot of the money in the bank account. And my accountant called me and goes, "Hey, you need $30,000 to pay your GST bill next week." And I had like 10. And like, this is like just after I slowly started to pay off my debt to my parents. Because the bank declined me for the loan. So they had to get the loan for me. But I mean, I'm grateful for that in this case. But I then had to have that conversation of going, "Hey, don't have money to pay my tax bill." And boy, did they fucking flip. "What the fuck are you doing? And you should talk to us about this. You know, you haven't paid your debt off yet, so technically you got to go through us when you're buying stuff." And I'm going, "No, but like, trust me on this. Like, you know, the more coffee I go through will make more money. Like, it's only $3 per bag that I actually make off one here, but like, trust me,
Yeah.
in 10 years from now, like, it'll be good. And it was always going to be a side gig. My main focus was the cafe, but if I could sell my coffee to the Colosmos and to other venues, it would then, extra source of income. And that's how I've always seen it, as if I sell some coffee to these venues, one, you got to pay off the equipment, which would take 3 years, that I found out.
Yeah.
It took me a long, long time. I think I spent over $100,000 worth of equipment just for the Colosmo family alone. But after 3 years, I've finally paid that debt back. So, my parents were really unhappy that it took so long, but now it's a passive income. And the way I see it now is that everything is paid off. But if I have a bad week at the cafe, then that money from all the pubs using the coffee covers that cost. And because of that, during the second lockdown, they did a drive-through concept where they had everyday essentials, where you could get pub quality meat, fruit and veg, beer if you wanted beer, and we all know that we enjoyed a beer or two during lockdown. And they sold my coffee as well. And so the amount of people that were coming through and going, oh, I've got a coffee machine at home, or during that period, people obviously were going, well, I don't want to get COVID. I'm going to buy a coffee machine for home. And then people were going through the drive-through and buying my coffee. And so instantly it got my name and my branding out a little bit more. So it was really nice of them to be able to do that. Obviously, from their point, it's another item of sale. But for them to stick with me, I've now been supplying them for 4 years now.
Wow.
At Bella Vista, the Governor Hotel, Hillside Hotel, and the Duke of Dural. And then that's it for the moment. I did have one or two others, but things just didn't work out in those hotels, but that's okay. It's actually opened up a lot more opportunities for me, and I'm actually supplying Hotel Penantils where Andy is now.
Yeah.
So thank you, Andy, once again.
Yeah.
I've got another company, Jody. She's started her own cake business, and she's using my coffee as well. And hopefully I've got a few more in the pipeline as well, which it's just word of mouth, or it's people that have actually enjoyed the coffee. Watan Afghani cuisine in Granville. Thank you, Hassan. He's a customer for a number of years, and he loved the coffee so much. He goes, hey, I'm opening a restaurant. Can I please use your coffee as well? So, it's been really cool and humbling in that experience that people love what I'm serving, which has made me really, really quite proud of where I'm at. And so shout out to Sam, who I'm now roasting with at the moment. And he's teaching me how to roast and giving me advice of that next step of really taking it further as a separate company. So the idea is that I'll still be having the coffee that will go to the cafe, but this separate company, it will be along that branding of Campos and won't be associated with just a brand of coffee, brand of cafe. This is going to be its own monster in its way that I'm hoping. And so the aim is not to be in shopping like Woolies and Coles.
Yeah, of course.
And mass produce. But I've got some pubs, some restaurants. I want to get into other cafes as well. Mm-hmm. So that's where my passion really lies, and obviously customers. Do I really enjoy the 4:10 a.m. wake up calls 5 days a week, 6 days a week. No, not really. We just opened up for dinner recently. So last week, like I did a 16-hour day.
Wow.
And it was like my 7th day in a row at that stage. And I think it was, I was exhausted after that. But like, these are the things as a business owner that, realistically, I have 4 chefs that work for me, and they're all amazing. They're great, talented people, and I love working with them. But the sales are not matching the volume of having 4 chefs. So instead of sacking one or reducing their hours and knowing that it's not enough money for them to continue and they would have to go elsewhere, I've kind of decided, well, I need to have the shop open longer to be able to keep their hours there so that I can keep them employed.
Yeah.
But then if someone needs time off, like one of my staff just celebrated their 30th birthday and they asked for 5 weeks off. If I didn't have that extra staff member, they wouldn't be able to have that time off.
Yeah.
5 weeks is a long time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I was able to make it happen. The other chefs were happy. They got a bit of overtime cash as well. So
Yeah.
good for them. But like, I try and show them the respect. It like if they need time off for someone's birthday, this, that, whatever, I want to say yes. It's very rare that I say no. But then if I need time off, I hope that they respect that I need to have time away.
Yeah, of course.
So like I'm getting married soon, so I'm going to have 2 weeks off. And I'm so nervous about it. Not that they'll burn the shop down or anything like that, but just...
Yeah.
That's all I know.
One of my best mates is working in that store, man, and I think the store will be fine. Yeah. Man, that's crazy. The things that you would have learned through this journey of ever since that $12,000 first entry into the door have been, sounds like phenomenal. You're learning distribution, you're learning networking. I guarantee you've grown yourself a large network over this time. People management, time allegations, like... I bet you, did you expect any of this to come from that time you first walked in the door with a $12,000 endeavor?
I once said that I wanted to be bigger than the grounds. No, just I once said that.
Yeah.
Am I fucking delusional? Yeah, probably. But it just shows that hospitality is not for the faint-hearted. My mental health has gone through an absolute roller coaster of a ride, being knocked down so many pegs to the point of like crying in the shower before getting ready for a day of work, of going, I don't want to deal with this person. I don't want to go to work, but what else am I going to do, kind of thing. And couple of years of therapy have definitely put me back en route, and I feel fantastic. And I definitely physically feel a lot better, and mentally I'm 100 times better than where I was. But yeah, I went through a bit of a downward spiral and drinking a lot, and just damaging. Like I really lost that passion, and I was only doing it because I didn't know what else I would do. But over the last 2 years or so, a couple of friends of mine started a company called Spro Bros.
Yeah.
And it really started off as a piss take of have a spro with the bro. And it's kind of created a community, and I think there's over 140. I don't know the number anymore, but it's over 140 people.
Wow.
In this chat, and they're all baristas or cafe owners. And once a month we meet up, and if we can make it on a Wednesday or a Thursday night, Friday night sometimes, And I was lucky enough to have the privilege of hosting at Barista Shed a few months ago. And we had a fair few people show up. And that was a really cool experience for me to then show my vision and show my shop and get people to taste my coffee. And, you know, in some aspects, a lot of people is like, oh, like, look at me kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like for me, it's all about community.
Yeah.
But also the amount of people that I've met that are also in the same boat as me, that have the same financial stress, that have the same staff dramas, that have, you know, the same issue that they have a wedding on, the manager calls in sick on the day of the wedding. And it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But these are realistic things. Like we went through a stage in 2022, early 2023, where I was paying $500 job ad on Seek, and I get like 2 resumes a week.
Wow.
And they'd be like, hey, I'm in Nepal. I'll fly over if you give me visa kind of thing. And it's just like, that's the kind of resumes that we're getting. And my staff used to say to me, like, why can we not find any better staff? Or this person's shit. Like, surely we can just fire him. And I'd be like, no, you don't understand. Like, we fired this person. They might not be fantastic, but at least they're showing up. They're doing the job and they're happy to get paid. But if we let this person go, I have to work harder.
Yeah.
Because you're not working a 6th day. You're not working a 7th day.
Boots on the ground is a very important thing I've learned this year, actually. How important it is. Doesn't matter necessarily who the boots are filled with, but it's good to have boots on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Responsibility. But it's that. If you dedicate, there's obviously different levels of dedication. And I've definitely ridden the wave of being super dedicated and being super proactive and really on top of things. And then I've also been in the spiral where I'd avoid everything to the absolute last minute and be making mistakes and looking like a fool. And I don't want to be that fool. And I think that is the custom realization there that it's going, well, I have to get my shit together. I've got to be on top of this. I have to do that. And I think the support from my partner, Sophie, has also been like super amazing, because without her, I probably would have hung myself.
Yeah.
Not going to lie. So I'm so grateful for the love and the support that I've got around me, and having these boys in the Spro Bros and the girls that are in the group as well. It's not just a male dominated thing. We it's all for everyone. It doesn't matter. Is that we all go through the same things, and so by meeting up once a month, we can talk about these things. It feels like a therapy session in itself, of being able to vent and someone actually understanding of the frustrations that you've got.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard that if I say like, oh, like, you know, this person at work, like they just don't do it. And everyone that works in an office building, they're just like, just do this, like just sack them, or like, you know, just say you're the boss and you got to fucking do it.
Yeah.
It's just like that story I told before, the 2 staff members that I had, like, you're the boss, you can fucking clean up that table. Everyone else that I spoke to, they're like, just fucking tell them that you're the boss. And it's like, but when you have staff shortages and this, that, whatever, you got, as a human being, as a boss, and you've got to learn to navigate things. You know, the compliment sandwich, you know, this, that, whatever. Like,
I used to get a shit sandwich my whole life off one of my greatest and forever grateful employers, which is actually the owner of the business that used to service the equipment. He used to give me a shit sandwich. So it was always something good, something shit, something good. No, it was something shit, something good, something shit. That's what it was.
So that's a real shit sandwich.
Yeah. It was a shit sandwich. But I don't know, man. People manage. It's look, as an outsider looking in and someone who's dipped my toe into the realm of entrepreneurship and business owners and things like this. Never to the stage of having employees yet, which is something that I'd love to do, and I'm definitely going to have to come to you.
Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that?
It's one of the next. They say choose your problems. They say no matter what in life you're going to have problems. Your goal is to choose which problems you want to have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I guess looking at someone who is running a business, no matter what the business is in, it almost comes with a lens of like, oh, they have the most amount of authority and respect, and they get to make all the decisions. But I also understand, looking as an outsider looking in, that you just have the most amount of responsibility. Yes, you get to call the shots and choose this and that, but you know, when you need someone to operate this, or you need someone to help you to understand this better, like you just have the responsibility to also bear the weight of the shit you don't want to put up with either, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a shout out to your mate, my mate, Kelvin.
Shout out to Kelvin.
Shout out to Kelvin.
Yeah.
You do my fucking head in.
Yeah.
But I love you. Kelvin, if I need him there, he's there in a heartbeat. He might be late.
Oh, yeah, he's going to be late. There's no question about that.
But he puts his hand up and he's happy to do it. And that's so many people will say, hey, well, wasn't done properly, or he was late, or this way. And this is not just Kelvin. This is as a general thing.
Yeah.
Like I've hired and fired over 88 staff members in 12 years now, which I think is a really great number.
Yeah.
For anyone that works in hospo, they will know that 88 over 12 years is quite good.
Yeah.
I know a business also that in 5 years did over 200.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
so
crazy.
I like to think that
That's a week. It's almost one every week and a half.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
anyways, I'm very grateful for that, and obviously every single person that has come through the door and worked with me has had an effect on me, whether they were only hired for one day, or they came in for a trial. Or actually, no, so trials aren't included in that 88. But every single person who has come in has helped make me a better person, has helped me learn how to handle difficult conversations, has learned how to handle certain scenarios. The shit sandwich turn into a compliment sandwich. To, instead of pointing the finger, help guide in that direction. I think I've been saying this for at least 5 years now, and I think I'll say this till the day I die for anyone that does come on board. But I consider Barista Shed a stepping stone for myself, and so it should be a stepping stone for everyone else. If your end goal is to work for me for the rest of your life, then you're dreaming, because you obviously haven't set the bar high enough for yourself. You've got too comfortable. And like for me, my dream was to have the ground style. I wanted to do what the orchard is out at Penrith right there.
Yeah.
That is actually what I wanted to do. My vision.
Yeah.
And I think I've got it written down in one of the books that I wrote all the names and everything. And I drew it out too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a delusional cunt.
Dude, delusion, I'm glad that you say it, because delusion is the word that I use to define myself.
Yep.
Delusion is the power of belief. It has no set ceiling. It has no max capacity. It's just whatever you want, you will get. Like,
But that's the thing is, though, you got to dream, you got to want something. And what I've realized that's not what I want anymore. And that's good. That's great. I'm happy with that, because I've realized that I want to do the coffee for my next section. Ideally, I want to be able to either sell this cafe and focus just on the coffee, or I want to be able to do both. But I want to have a bit more flexibility where the cafe runs without me, kind of thing. And the coffee side, if I do take on some staff, then that's great. But the idea is that I want to have my weekends off eventually.
yeah, of course.
You know, it's a long shot, but
Yeah.
you know, that's something what I am actually aiming for. That's something that I want as I come into marriage very soon, into that next step of chapter for where I am. But if I am to continue doing cafes and stuff like that, like, I feel that it's going to be hard, but I do love it. So,
Yeah.
you know, there's certain levels. Like, my compromise now is that I try to have Saturdays off. But if I need to work a Saturday, I need to work a Saturday. But I try and have Saturdays off so I can spend that with my partner who works Monday to Friday. So I want to be at least that one day I can secure that in, kind of thing. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it is what it is. But yeah, you gotta have dreams. You gotta want something. And like, originally, did I think that I'd be where I'm at now? I wanted it. Did I think I'd get there? No.
Yeah.
But I also did think that I would be much bigger than what I was, like with 100,000 followers and going viral. And Andy will know this as well. We talked about this, that I wanted to do restaurant McDonald's years ago back at Cafe House. Be like, well, Mac is up the road. Let's do fine dining McDonald's. Happyfield is the #1 cafe in Sydney.
Yeah.
And they're doing fine dining McDonald's.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's so inspiring to hear that not only has it been almost something that's came to you, it's also been something that you've also found fulfillment in doing along the process, because you didn't originally set out with this intention when the business across the road from where your dad worked was shutting down, you know. But to see to what I know as the Barista Shed today is an awesome establishment. Like
Thank you.
I love it. Like, I don't just love it for any of the food or the coffee or my friends that work there or knowing you and being behind there and fixing the cool rooms. Like, I love the branding. I love what it looks like. Like, the social media in itself is something that I can tell has had effort put into it over time. Like, I usually do research before doing my guests. I always do. So obviously I went through a lot of the Matt and Drew all episodes. I've seen from when Kelvin first started popping in.
Yeah.
I've seen all this. There's 1,358 posts. I'm not going back to #1. You know? There's too much in that. And that just shows me alone, seeing the Instagram, the amount of effort and dedication put in towards the business, you know? Like,
thank you.
It's awesome, bro. It really is. And to see, I got to ask a question as well before I get back onto this subject, but when you are doing this distribution now of coffee, is it the same kind of premise that other people do? Do you have your own cups? Do you have anything like that? Or how does it work?
So right now, I'm working on a new logo and branding packages for that. So the idea is that I'll keep Barista Shed. I won't make any changes in store there, but then as a whole different entity. So when I sell to the pubs and the other wholesale customers that I've got, they'll have the new packaging and they'll have that new branding and everything like that.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, it's trying to separate. So still the same coffee,
Yeah.
but just different branding in its way. So then different marketing tactics will be used, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's cool. Because I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure over the time I've seen the Barista Shed, and to be honest, I almost thought it was a franchise for a while because of the fact that I've seen it in other places other than the location, you know? Like,
So I get told, I love it and I hate it that so many people go, oh, you know, your Castle Hill store, like that's pretty good, but it's really good, kind of thing. And it's like, oh, you're thinking of the Shed franchise.
Oh, yeah,
where
yeah.
the Barista Shed.
Yeah, of course.
And it
yeah.
does my head in, but it's also like, I love when they say you're so much better.
Yeah. Dude, the Shed, no offense to the Shed, it's cool. I've worked in that place before as well, but it's nowhere near the same as the Barista Shed.
Look, you know, it's franchise at the end of the day, and
Yeah.
Obviously with the Shed franchise, you can write your own menu and change things. You just got to use their products and their coffee and stuff. And I think as a franchise, if you're getting into the industry, it's a pretty good one to kind of. They've got the resources, they've got the following, and you wouldn't say it's foolproof, but they Piccolo Me's another one. I think Piccolo Me's got over 30 stores in Sydney now.
Piccolo Me's grown a lot. Hasn't
They're actually going overseas soon as
Wow.
well, which is pretty cool and good on for them.
it?
I thought about doing franchise. My dream kind of shifted from that big cafe orientation to 3 cafes. So this kind of came off the Baron Boys again. They had the Baron, and then they opened the Tuck Shop in Kenthurst Dural, with Nathan Hindmarsh, the footy player.
Oh, I forgot he did. Yeah, I knew that. I forgot that. Yeah.
And then they opened Goodfella in Bella Vista.
Yeah, that pops too. Like,
Yeah. So Bella Vista, like, so that style of cafe, I think is incredible. I had a staff member of mine. His name was Randy. Probably one of the best. Well, sorry, he is the best barista I've ever hired. Lovely Canadian. I actually lost him to Goodfella.
Yeah.
And when he let me know that he got a job there, I was so proud of him that someone was worth working there. But I was also sad that I wasn't able to keep him. But once again, this shop is a stepping stone. He got to the pinnacle of what I think in the northwest of Sydney is the best cafe around.
Yeah, well,
And
it's got the location, it's got the spot for people to
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
So, like, it was really cool and humbling to see Randy go on and do that. And now he's killing it over in Canada. And, like, I'm so proud of him. And I want to catch up with him because he's going leaps and bounds in the cafe game over there. So,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on this as well. So you obviously, I can tell from day one with the mindset of, especially, all right, let me start that again. So in the beginning, it sounded like when it was just you and Andy, it was a lot to do with the constant reoccurring of customers and then standing at the front and trying to meet people and things like this. And now when you've come into the Barista Shed, it was always trying to meet and greet every customer as they come into the door. It's also having a background in bartending and loving being around that environment and being surrounded by your peers and then drinking after work and going to the parties. It sounds like camaraderie is something that you've always enjoyed, you know, being a part of a community, being a part of something. I can identify with that. So to have now what I can see with the Barista Shed's Instagram page, it looks like you're becoming a community with all of Marsden Park in a way, you know, you're doing, you know, the guy from World Gym. I can see guys from the AF, you know, like I can see that it's forming into something bigger, you know what I mean?
Like I'm sure with some of the people that you've had on the podcast before, like I'd have to go through the list to actually try and pick someone out. But, you know, some of these people have been customers of mine. And when people say, I've been to the Barista Shed, that's the coolest feeling in the world. Like, that makes me happy. And people go, yeah, the coffee was great, had a really good time. And it's like, I didn't know this person before. So for you, Doxy, like, if you were coming and fixing my fridge, and as you said, like, I gave you that bottle of Jim Beam on Christmas Eve, like, I've completely forgotten about that scenario, but I did that because I was just like, fuck it, like,
oh, dude, it was like, just out of kindness. That's all it was. It was out of kindness, yeah.
But that's, Christmas is Christmas at the end of the day. Like, you know, you did me a favor by saving my ass and getting the fridge fixed or the cool room or whatever it was that day, but I'm sure it was quite a few things because fuck, it was a hot summer.
I can't even remember what it was that first time.
Yeah, but you know, I meet people for the very first time and they go, yeah, I've been there. And I'm like, have you really?
Yeah.
And they go, that's mine. Like,
yeah.
I'm proud to tell it. But then there's other times where I introduce myself and they go, oh, what do you do? And like, I feel like when I owned Cafe House, I used to be like, yeah, I'm the boss of the cafe, like this, that, whatever. And I realized over time that I just sounded like a fuckwit when I talk like that. Whereas now when I meet people and they go, oh, what do you do? And I'm just like, oh, I work at a cafe. And then it's usually met with, oh, you're 30 something, you work at a cafe. And I'm like, oh, I might own the joint or something like that. Like, before I used to brag or like it was like, come to my cafe. Like I am like, I want to be the it place, and by telling you this place, you gotta come kind of thing. Where it's like, mate, make your own decision. Like, if you want to come. But if you don't come, I don't mind anymore. Like, I'm not. I've come to be okay with not being liked. I hated. I had to be everyone's friend. I hated when someone would be like, "Yeah, I don't like Matt." I'd be like, "Why don't you like me?" Like, I was always striving to be liked, and I think that was a bit of a toxic trait for myself, kind of thing. But
I might have to pick your brain about that off camera one day, because I resonate with that.
Yeah, mate. I don't know. I'm still trying to answer everything, but but yeah, I think only a couple of weeks ago I walked into a place and got chatting, and they actually brought up my shop just out of chance. I'm not wearing a shirt, not in work clothes or anything like that. I had a really bad coffee last week.
Oh, no.
Because we were talking about coffee.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, where were you? And she was like, I was out at Marsden Park. I was going to IKEA. And I went, oh, okay. And she was like, yeah, just it seemed like a bit of an off day. Person didn't seem too happy. I then waited like 8 minutes for a cup of coffee because the person who was making the coffee walked off, and then someone disappeared, and next someone else came back out and they did it. And I was like, oh, that's really odd, kind of thing. And she was like, yeah, it just wasn't great. And what instantly ran through my head was like, no, defend. Like, I've would always get on the defensive, and I'd try and like, no, there had to be an excuse. And I actually said, that's my shop. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I said, no, like, it's feedback. Like, it's actual proper feedback as well, of going, okay, yeah, sure, we had a bad day. You probably, if I hadn't have had this conversation with you, you probably would never go back. And it is what it is. But you know, if I can ask a few more questions, do you know why that person disappeared for 8 minutes? Or, you know, was there any other context that you would know, just so that I probably wasn't there that day, or like I might have been out the back, and who knows what happened. But like, I wanted to know so I could improve my business from that, because we're always going to make mistakes. We're always going to fuck up, whether it's me, whether it's one of my staff, just something you can't control. And you got to understand that you're never going to be perfect. But you can always try. And if you don't try, then what's the point? But I think I hate Google reviews. So I'm going to keep this short. I really hate Google reviews. When the shop first opened up, of course, you always start at 0, and then it automatically goes to 5 as soon as you get first 5-star. We did quite well the first couple of months or so. And then what I realized is that these 2 other people that I had employed to help were also my 2 worst staff members that would fight customers, arguing with them, and there'd be issues, and it would always be that defensive mechanism of like, oh, well, they started it, or it was their fault, it was this, that. And watching my reviews go down, I think I got down to a stage at, I think 2.8
Wow.
was my Google review, which I think put me as one of the lowest rated cafes in Sydney.
Yeah, wow.
And that was heartbreaking. Like, I was so emotionally hurt from seeing that people, obviously, you take it with a grain of salt. Some people are a bit more, I only want to go to the good review cafes because I don't want to deal with shit. So obviously 2.8, when you search for cafes, it's going to be down there low. And I used to have people come in and be like, I almost didn't come here because I saw all the staff are rude and this, that. And I was like, oh my God, like, I fucked up. Some of these reviews about me, I wouldn't say majority, but I can definitely put my hand up that at least 50 out of the 600 or whatever I've got are me. And, you know, it's a learning experience. I fucked up. I have bad days.
Yeah.
Some things I could learn. Well, it was that experience, seeing that review. I've gone, right, how do I handle that better? How do I improve? And it's always those things of those mistakes that I've actually learned to improve myself, that I know how to handle the tough conversations, that know how to handle when someone's in an argument, how to talk to them nicely, but get my point across instead of just, you know, going off the hook and being like, fuck you, don't come back. Kind of thing. Like,
Yeah. I can imagine that'd be a hard one to learn.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'd struggle with that. Yeah,
Yes.
well. You've definitely had a roller coaster of a journey, dude, but it's awesome to see what the company is today, you know, and I see nothing but growth, especially I like the way you tackling content. Like I haven't always followed the page. I'm not sure what it's always been like, but I have been following for a while.
Yeah.
And the Matt and Drew series has been an awesome insight. And I think it's become a pretty widely adopted mindset now that content creation plus business ownership has definitely helped the world, you know?
Yeah.
So how long have you been taking content to this, like you're taking it now? Have you seen a change in rewards, like as in customers and things like this in doing so?
Yeah. Sipping on Matt and Drew, I think, is a proud moment right there. I've been wanting to do that segment for years.
Yeah.
Years. Drew, who's part of the segment with me.
I like how you say I'm Matt and I'm Drew, and I'm like sometimes I'm like, did they just say each other's names?
Well, my jumper says Matt, and I'll go, I'm Drew.
Yeah, I was like, what? I had to rewatch it a few times.
So there was a segment, I think it was on one of the episodes, go check out Sipping on Matt and Drew, where we wanted to do the Anchorman segment, where Ron Burgundy reads the teleprompter. And hello, I'm Veronica Corningstone. Hi, I'm Tits McGee. You know, hi, I'm Tits McGee. Veronica Corningstone can't be here tonight, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we've got the cards literally behind the camera, and Drew's like, I don't know what's fucking going on here. And it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So I've got the episode where he goes, I'm Matt, and then I go, I'm Tits McGee. And I'm just like, oh. And we didn't refilm it. We just went on with it.
Yeah.
So I think there'd be a lot of confused heads when it comes to that, but it's the Anchorman segment that we're actually trying to go off that. But it's stuff like that, much more personal stuff. So I think, man, long gone on, as you probably know, the Instagram algorithm fluctuates like no tomorrow. Like one post can get 100 and then the next one gets like 4. And I think my Instagram is a true representation of that, of what people like and what people don't like. Before videos was introduced, it was just photos. So then videos got much more preference and view time and everything like that. But now it's all about engagement. So if you don't get people's engagement in the first 3 seconds or whatever, then that person didn't like it, so it's not going to show on the next person. And then it's really hard because it's back in the old days, you would see suggested content of friends or friends of friends on your timeline, especially on Facebook, when Facebook was really massive back then. It was super good for friends with businesses because if someone liked something, it was showing up for you as well. Whereas now, when you scroll through, it's all sponsored ads.
Yeah. The only things on Facebook now is like engagements, homes, and babies.
Yeah, that's it. It's all the big celebrations.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good way of knowing stuff.
It is, but it's not the platform in which people could be able to use it for.
No,
yeah.
But with Instagram, it's like we recently just started doing dinner. And so I put up a story and it only got, I think, 100 views in 24 hours. And we got 2,000 something followers on Instagram alone. And I just scratched my head. I'm like, fuck, I just want people to know that we're open for dinner. Like, the people that follow should be able to see what I've seen. The fact that only 100 people see it, It's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But then I did a video with a friend of mine, Mark, Breakfast Shirts.
Yes, I watched that video.
Absolute legend of a guy, single-handedly trying to help the industry, music and arts as well. Absolute legend of a guy. I'm very grateful for him.
The great niche he's opened, isn't it? Like trying to create shirts to wear for breakfast at cafes and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that's phenomenal, bro.
Yeah. It's just going and supporting breakfast. The breakfast is his thing. And with Mark, we did a segment. He's obviously cut it just for that one part. But I basically there's 2 minutes of after my banana bread segment where I literally called out so many fucking big names.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I don't think I can put that in there. I think we might get sued. And I'm just like, fuck it. Like, I've said it. If you want to put it in, we'll put it in. If not, then it's a war for another day. But for him, we talked about the price of inflation and everything. Like, I put up my price from $4.50 to $4.90. So, 2024 that we're in 2013, 11 years ago, almost 12 now, since the shop opened up. We've gone from $3 small to $4.50. It's only $1.50. Yes, that's a 50% markup. You think about everything else in the world. Like, I remember a beer used to be $5, and now I'm paying $11 for a beer. You go some places like the real exclusive,
like $18.
Yeah, and that's it. So everything goes up, but I feel that because cafe owners are so personable and it's such a small business, like you don't see the owner of the pub really work the taps. So you're not really fighting. The staff member's going to go, well, I have to go to my boss and see if you can get a free. You don't get a 10th free beer at the pub, do you?
No.
But at a cafe, you got to have a loyalty card.
Yeah.
So the little cafe guys, they fucking get run over left, right, and center. But then I also called out Starbucks in this video. And look, Starbucks is the biggest drink shop around the globe. Like, they have that many drinks and everything, non-alcoholic. It's not a cafe, it's a drink store. But they do it well.
Yeah.
Because where else does actually just serve drinks that's not alcoholic?
Yeah.
Can't really name one.
Yeah, you're right.
So, but what they do is that you go on the phone and it sends you a notification. Hey, Starbucks, put $20. It's like a time zone card. Put $20 on your loyalty card. Get an extra $5 free.
Yeah, wow.
And so they can send that out to anyone with the app at any time, and they can go, right, we'll double whatever it is. So you put $50 in, you get $100 worth of credit, only if you do it by midnight tonight.
Wow.
You think about it. How many people got that app? How many people do that? But then how much instant money has just been transferred in Starbucks? So they have a bad month, boom, and fucking just do that.
Wow.
Because then you can't get your money out, so you have to spend it there. Or it's going to sit in the account for 6 months before you even use it next time you go in there.
Yeah.
So that then helps them fund all the equipment, pay the wages, open more stores. I can't do that.
Yeah.
I tried using a QR code for a loyalty card during lockdown. People told me to get fucked.
Oh, wow.
They love the clipper. They love
Yeah.
it, and that's fine. That's all well and good. But like, it's funny how it's almost a double standard of that. People will go and do that for Starbucks, and they'll get their 10th free coffee, whatever. But when it comes to a small business, oh, Matt, you're doing well. Like,
Yeah,
you can shout us this, and it's just. I wish people could see it's not all rainbows and sunshines.
It in a way, I feel that because it's been a roller coaster of a journey, the experience that you've learned, I feel, will give you more life experience through this process of business ownership than anyone who hasn't participated would ever have. So when it comes to being a husband or being a father or being a friend and things like this, like the people skills you've learned along the way and the responsibility load you've gained, like I know it's been a roller coaster, man, but gosh, you've had a beneficial experience so far in doing so, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one to compare anymore. Before I used to, and it would just only end up in negativity. With now, it's kind of like I've been through some shit, whether it be the shop itself, my personal life, the car accident. It's one of those things. Everyone has different stories. Like, I know of someone who's going through cancer at the moment who's, younger than me. And I've known her quite a few years. And it's one of those things of that I don't think my life is hard compared to hers. So I just try and put a smile on and go, well, what can I do that makes me happy? And so I love when people tell me that they love the cafe because that makes me all warm, fuzzy, and feeling. So when I can and I remember that I'm in the right mindset, I will, when customers come in, I'll try and do something to prep them up. So, like, it's hard to explain in a 1 minute kind of answer, but like, I flirt with all my male customers. I don't do it like I have a laugh with the girls and everything like that, but with my male customers, I probably take it too far where I call everyone beautiful or handsome. Yeah. And there's some people that are kind of like, well, are you gay? Yeah. And I'm gay for you. But I do it for a fact of that. I'll give them a compliment and they'll be like, oh, you know what? Thank you. I'm having a bit of a shit day, but like, it sounds so stupid, but like when people go and how's your day going? I go, well, it's better now that I've seen you, kind of thing. But in all honesty, like the fact that people return 5 days a week, 7 days a week, once a month, no matter how, even yourself, Doxy, like, when you came in, I didn't recognize you at first. I was like, oh, and then you said, oh, how's your fridges going? I went, hey, I know who you are. You're Kelvin's mate, kind of thing. And it's just like, thank you for coming and supporting the business. Like, you might buy a coffee, you might buy lunch or whatever, and I'll try and fight you and go, well, no, you're only paying for the food kind of thing. So, like, coffee's on me. Yeah. And sometimes a little too nice like that, and I need to remember that I got to cover costs, but at the same time, like, it does mean a lot to me when people could go anywhere in Sydney. I've single-handedly had people tell me that live in Castle Hill and it takes 20 minutes from Castle Hill to Marsden Park on a good day.
Yeah, I was about to say barely
on a good day. And they'll drive to the grounds of Alexandria for a date with a girl, and they'd be like, they'll do that almost once a fortnight, but never in 8 years have they once come out because Marsden Park's too far. Yeah. And that burns me, and I don't value that, and upsets me quite a bit. But that's people for you. So the fact that who I considered once a very close friend when I worked in the pubs says that to me and has not come out. But then people I don't even know that are now bringing their kids, their newborns, who are now 3-4 years old. I've got a couple that are day one customers of mine that have got a 10-year-old and a 2-year-old. Oh. I think he's 2.
Wow.
And they came in the very first day, and I've got photos of their young girl when she was like young. She'd be 2.5 when she first came into the shop, and she's now 10. Yeah. Wow. Like, it's been really cool watching her grow up and be able to then communicate and then have her first baby Chino and have breakfast, and now she has a full on meal, and she comes round and she helps me make some coffees every now and then, and I joke with her and I'm like, when you're 14, 9 months, like,
Yeah.
come on in, you're helping me, kind of thing. And like, I have a really great relationship with Dave and Mia, her parents, who are also my fitness instructors as well when I show up.
Yeah.
But it's these are friends. They're not just customers. They are friends, and they are very much family to me now. And I'm so lucky to have met these people. I had people that came to me at Cafe House all those years ago who still come to Barista Shed now. It's so awesome to know that people love what I do. And I actually don't think I'm doing anything special compared to what some other people are. Without dwelling on it too much and rambling on, there's a girl named Gemma. Gemma's mid-20s now or so. She just opened her second venue. She's got a cafe in Glenhaven? No, Kenthurst. Kenthurst. She's in Kenthurst. And
I know this lady.
Hidden Gem.
Yeah, I know this. Yeah, I know her. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Wow. You know her as
Gemma, she started her cafe when she was 18 years old. And I went to school with her brother. He was in a couple of years below. And
I remember when they bought that, dude. Like, I remember the store before that.
yeah, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
I worked in both, the old and the new.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. So when Gemma first opened up, I thought like I was planning Barista Shed.
I'm gonna have to pause you for 1 second. For everyone listening, the camera's died as per usual. But yes, go on. You're saying when she was at 18, she got that. Yeah.
Yeah. She opened Hidden Gem, and like, congrats to her. Like, I thought I was doing Gemma a favor. I messaged her and I was like, hey, let me come out. I want to talk to you. Like, I want to try and help you get ahead, kind of thing. Because I was right in the high of the bacon egg roll success at Cafe House, and we were building Barista Shed at that time. And I remember sitting down with Gem, and I totally regret this now, but I came off as like, I know better. But she was much more open-minded and definitely knew what she wanted. And I kind of walked away going, I felt like a bit of a fucking dickhead after that. There's plenty of times that I do that. But in all this, I actually reached out to Gemma recently when she opened Tom's, the store next door. Obviously, it's doing cocktails and pizza and, a bit more of a nighttime lunch and dinner market. So she's got Hidden Gem doing breakfast, lunch, and then she's got Tom's doing lunch and dinner. Like, this girl has renovated the shop, I think, twice now.
Yeah. It does look really good in there, doesn't it? Yeah.
She's married. She's got 2 kids. And she's working full-time at the cafe in Tom's. Like, it's not an easy job. And, like, if there's anyone that motivates me, it's her. Is because this girl is younger than me. She's stuck to her guns. I have a lot of respect for what she does. She doesn't take no for an answer. Mm-hmm. She works hard. She works very hard. And, like, it kind of, it motivates me. But then I also, I'm my own biggest critic as well. And I go, fuck, I'm not doing enough. But I also realize that in my stage of life and where I've been and what's happened with me is that I'm doing the absolute best that I can. Any more, I'm taking away from something else. And she's doing the best she can, and all credit to her. I think single-handedly, boss woman, probably it's got to be in the top 10, top 5 best Hills District cafes. So mad respect for Gemma, and yeah, proud of what she's doing. But people like her motivate me, and yeah, I really think she's both her cousins. I met a cousin Hannah. She's got a cafe in Winston Hills called June. I go there quite often because it's a bit close to home, but also it's on the way to work. If I, have a day where I either leave early or I have a late start, I'll try and duck in there. And like, she's doing incredible work, and the other cousin, I think, has one out here in Pitttown and Hobartville. So she's doing well herself. And like, it's really cool that they vibe off each other and have that network themselves kind of thing. But like, they work harder than me. You're not just success. Like, no one just gets successful. The hard work, obviously, no one sees until you make it, and then everyone's like, "Oh, yeah, it was money."
A free feed would be nice.
No, they did the hours, and like, I'm super proud of them.
Yeah. I think you'd be surprised. I know that you say that you get a lot of inspiration from them, but I think you'd be surprised of how many people will be getting inspiration from you in your store. Really,
Look,
like, it's good that you can show your
feeling.
appreciation and your respect. I think that's an amazing characteristic trait, to be able to give flowers to someone else, because for a long time I feel like the world was running. I noticed it growing up, as in, there's not enough pie for everyone to eat from. So everyone was being very controlling over their own environment. As you said, in the industry, when you got into it, people weren't giving out their techniques for even teaching each other how to do things. But now society has definitely adopted a shared mentality, and that's what's helping everyone. Look at the way you're collaborating with other business owners and you're doing things together. Like, that's helping both people out.
Yeah.
I think the way that the world, not everyone's doing it, but when I do notice someone who does give flowers towards someone else, I have so much respect for that, because that's what the world needs more of, dude.
I wish people, maybe it's a bit hypocritical myself, but, asking for help. I really wish that if I had have asked for help, I was stubborn with certain things. I had to take the hard route myself sometimes. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, when really I should have accepted some help or done things differently. I wouldn't have had to go through some of the headaches that I did. But that's life, and that's lessons, and as long as you don't make the same mistake twice, that's the most important thing.
That's just XP, bro. All you've done by doing things the hard way, you've just got XP.
Yeah.
And now you're the voice of the reasons why you shouldn't do things when you do give advice, because you've done it. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I don't want to drag Kelvin again, but like, Kelvin wants to own a hospitality business, and I want to teach him everything that I can, but he has to want it as well, like as how much I've wanted to open my shop as well. And it's one thing when you work for someone else, it's not yours, but at the same time, working for someone else, you can afford to make those mistakes. When it's your own money, it's a different story. And that's where I said before, is like, I've fallen into that thing of like, before I'd be happy and generous and probably too over the top, whereas now it's kind of like, I have bills to pay, I've got a wedding to pay for, I've got staff to pay, I've got to pay my taxes. Things are tight right now, and I actually have made probably a fool of myself by saying that to customers every now and then. Whenever someone comes in and goes, "Oh, Matt, surely I can get a free coffee," and I'll be like, "I've got a coffee card here, 10th one's free, like, use it." I don't want to use it. Like, I spend $20 every third day on food. Like, shout me a burger once in a while, kind of thing. And it's just like,
it's just not a good. It doesn't add up, It doesn't.
Well, I bring back that analogy of you don't go to the pub and ask for a free meal.
Yeah.
Why do I have to, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I could probably handle that better.
Yeah.
My staff now know to just kind of push me away, or oh Matt, you need it over here, kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
some things just certainly know how to prod.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something that I need to work on myself, and I realize that there's still a lot of things that I need to do, but I am very proud of looking back of where I was and how I handled things, and overcoming certain situations to where I am now, and having 20 fantastic staff work for me.
Yeah, that's
I
crazy.
actually will put this on the record. The team I have now is the best team I've had ever.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Wow.
I'm very grateful for that.
That's awesome, man, to hear from when it was just you and Andy until it was Lauren. Was it Lauren?
Lauren came
Yeah,
about.
and now you got 20 staff. that's,
Yeah.
that's wild, dude.
Yeah.
That's
Hired and
wild.
fired 88.
yeah, that's just insane, man. It's crazy. Look, we're gonna have to get towards the end of the episode. I hate it because there's actually so much more I want to pick your brain at. I'll come back to this. We're definitely gonna have to do a part 2 in the future. I'm not
Yep.
done. A couple questions I need to know first before I get to my final question.
Yep.
Is why is it that a large iced long black is always the most expensive drink, but it seems like it's the least amount of work and ingredients? Why?
Okay,
it's everywhere.
Yep.
Everywhere does it.
Okay. All right. So I want to. I'm just gonna get the numbers up here,
Yeah.
and we'll go through this.
Okay.
Because I don't want to make a fool of myself, but I'm pretty sure the Ice Long Black is $6 in my shop.
And to be honest, there's some stores that are doing $8.90 at the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What the fuck?
Yeah, it's crazy. And that's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
But Macca's is $6. Everywhere is $6 for a long black, bro. And I don't get it. It's all I drink. Large ice long black.
Drinks. Let's Ice Long Black. I've got it here, $5.60.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what people don't understand, and it's going to sound a bit ridiculous on this. So an espresso, I charge $4.50 for a single shot espresso. For a double shot espresso or something with milk, it's $4.90. If I charge it with milk, it's $5.60 for a double shot. If you have a double espresso by itself, $4.50 plus 70, that's $5.20. So $5.20 is for the double espresso itself, and I'm charging how much? $6.50.
Yeah. Well, for the long black, $5.60. Yeah.
Yeah. We're using single origin beans, which is a better quality, so it costs me almost double the amount than it does for a normal house blend of my Marsden blend, because we're sourcing a higher quality bean. Just like in anything, if you want a higher quality source, you pay more. So I can sell you a cheaper product. I can give you the Marsden blend in that, but it's not going to be as enjoyable. And I'm not proud of serving the Marsden by itself when I can serve you something that has been sourced from a really great farm, and you're going to sip that and you're going to go, fuck, I can't get a great tasting long black or ice long black espresso from another cafe this good in Western Sydney. And that's why I use a higher quality bean, but I also have to charge for it.
Yeah, okay. So it's because of that bean, it's not designed like the other ones to be able to have milk to be part of the flavor. It's a completely different thing entirely.
Yeah, like I could put it in milk and it would taste almost exactly the same as what I normally do. But you have it on its own and you can tell that difference right there. The cups and everything like that obviously plays into a factor. So I think the cup itself might be 15, 16 cents. The lid is 14 cents. So you add that on. Then you got straw. You got to assume that.
Yeah, okay.
Then you got to assume that those straws dissolve. So you got to give out a second straw. Each straw 6 cents, something. And then you got to calculate, and this is where everyone gets it wrong. A normal staff member, minimum wage is just under $30. So you got to break that $30 down into how many drinks is this person making per hour? Are they making 2 drinks a minute? Are they making 5 drinks a minute? Realistically, 2 drinks, 1.5 drinks would be realistic per minute on a busy day. But if you have a quiet cafe or whatever, you go an hour and you go, right, that person's been paid $30 an hour. They're making 20 drinks an hour. Let's say it's a relatively slow-ish kind of cafe. You break that $30 down and go, right, 20 drinks, $30. That's $1.07 or something like that. So then that's kind of like the wage cost that you have to put into a drink on top of the actual cost itself.
Yeah.
Into it. Everyone has different ways and methods of it. But what people don't understand is that for the ice machine uses up a lot of electricity. Sounds really fucking stupid, but
I know because I'm a fridgy. Ice machines are.
Well, I'm talking to the fridge man. I'm talking to the. So when I pay you to come out, and you work for that company before, the price is the price.
Yeah.
But if I've got to pay you to get serviced, before summer, and then after summer, because it's been used and abused during that time, you got to work that cost, and you're gonna go, right, okay, well, over 6 months, that bill came to $5,000.
Yeah.
Okay, work that $5,000 into you're almost putting it into the cost of the good that you're selling, so that when I need to call you to come and fix it, that I've got that money not stashed away, but like I've accounted for that money.
Yeah.
Because if I don't account for that, and that happens with my oven, my coffee machine, the ice machine, the cool room, my dishwasher. Like I think I have my dishwasher, my coffee machine, and my glass washer all go down in a total of 7 days.
Oh, fuck.
And that was like $10,000 worth of servicing.
Yeah.
So this is why it's so important that you add that just extra 20 cents, 30 cents into the cost of everything. And this is where everyone's like, oh, it's so expensive. But your ice machines can't keep up in summer, so people have to get a second one, or they got to go out and get bags of ice from the Shell Servo. And you got to go do that twice or 3 times a day because, the volume that you do of ice lattes. So when you're actually buying the Ice Long Black, like the one you've got in front of you, you're actually paying for all those extra costs of what's involved. When the customer goes, can I need some caramel in that, or I need 4 sugars or 8 sugars, depending on who, if you're that fucking psychotic. Which I've realized there's quite a few out there. But it's those costs involved that you have to add into it, which is why an Ice Long Black is more expensive than a hot long black.
Fuck, I can't believe I never even thought of that. And I'm the fridgie in the room, bro.
Yeah. But I'm sure there's something in your industry that I might go, hey, Doxy, why do you charge for a normal service? It's this much, but when it's this machine, it's an extra $200 more.
Yeah. And there's they're definitely conversations that we'll be having in the future. Yeah.
Or like how I had to pay to get someone to come out. Get you to come out and patch up the hole that was made by someone else. Yeah. I got charged for that.
Yeah, for sure.
For another time, episode 2.
Yeah, that's wild. Damn, bro. Well, man, it's been an awesome story, bro. I love it so much. Like I couldn't be more grateful for the fact that you've given me this episode. I'm going to have to be a bit greedy and ask you for a second one in the future.
Oh, it'd be my pleasure. Hopefully I haven't bored anyone. So.
No, trust me, you definitely haven't bored me. So if anything from me to you, it was an amazing episode. All right.
Thank you, mate.
Now, I have a final question that I ask everyone.
Go for it.
And we did touch on this subject a bit, so I feel like you'll have a bit of insight towards it, but it's around mental health. I feel like it's an important subject. I like to bring it up every episode.
Sure.
So if someone was to come to you for advice because they were feeling depressed, mostly because they were lost, what advice would you give to them?
Oh, come from someone that's really been through it, had some really dark demons as well. I remember when I I had to quit my education. I had to quit my job, and I just had to focus on me for a little bit. There's no is everyone says, "Oh, it's not weak to speak," but really, that's talk to someone. If you don't have any friends that have the time to talk, go see someone professional. And that's probably like one of the best things I did for myself 3 years ago, is that I went and saw someone professional. I dead set was crying in the shower on before going out to work one morning. And I just remember that I made I was sitting on my couch and my partner Sophie came up and sat next to me, and she goes, "Can you call in sick today? Like, are you able to?" And I was like, "No, I can't. Like, I just have to deal with it. I don't want to do it, but I'm going to deal with it." And she goes, like, "I think you need to speak to someone." And I said, "Yeah, I think," like, I had that thought of like, yes, I don't need to go spend money and talk to someone, but really it was the best thing I've ever done for myself, whether it just be ranting to this person or actually trying to come up with solutions of how I handle certain situations and everything like that. It's the best thing that I've ever done. And if someone is in that position, I would just say, I know someone, but also I've been through it. And I'd also go to the length, if someone asked me personally, would you be able to come along? I'd do it in a heartbeat. I lost a close friend almost 15 years ago, named Reese. We were very close growing up. His dad and my dad were best mates, and so we spent a lot of time together. And he went through some shit, and we got the phone call one morning, and it just broke me. And even after that, I said, why didn't he talk to me? Why didn't I understand the same battles he was going through, because I didn't do it myself. But I'm grateful for my partner that encouraged me and said, "Hey, just go once, and if you don't want to do it again, you don't have to, but just give it a shot." And I think it was taking that first step, and that first step's always the hardest one. But I'm very grateful that I did, because it's made my life so much better. So, and we're here today because of it. So,
that's a beautiful answer, man. Like my condolences go to your friend Reese. I know what that feels like to lose someone close to you, and it's definitely something that you're never going to forget. But it's also a good motivator to want to make you be more kinder and generous to others when they go through things, because it's like, oh, I can't have that happen again. You know what I mean? Like, I definitely know what that feels like, and I'm glad you made that decision and your partner was there to boost you to do that, because I think seeking professional help is one of the best advices ever. Like, it's a decision that I decided to do this year. I think it was this year. You know, I think everyone does go through shit. Realistically, there's no avoiding it. It's part of the human condition. You know, but speaking to a professional about it was honestly, I'm going to say make or break. You know, like, it really was. Yeah, wow. Because as you said, the place to be able to rant and vent and come up with your own conclusions, and like, it's an unbiased opinion. You know,
but also there's no judgment.
Exactly.
There's no judgment, because this person is there to actually listen.
Yeah.
And whether you want to take on their advice or not, that's up to you. But the fact is that you can go express yourself. You can't do that with certain people. Some people then force their opinion, or in this day and age, people manipulate.
Oh, I do it. I notice when people are complaining about anything, I'm very bad at it when it comes to girls. I can't help it. Like, if they complain about something that happened through their day, I have to consciously remind myself they just want to vent, they just want to rant, they just want to get this off. But it's like I can't help but want to fix their problem. I'm like, I'll do this, don't you know? It's just part of being a human. But going seeking a professional, I remember my first day there. I was going through something in my personal life, and I was like, this is a lot of weight to bear on people in my own life. Like I don't want to put that pressure on them. I don't want to have that uncomfortable situation. Like it's just easier if I go to a professional. And I remember walking in thinking, I'm about to drop some bullshit on this guy. You know what I mean? And then he ended up asking me, so what are you here for? And I just remember telling him like, well, get ready, dude, because, like I don't care what you think. And I just let it all out, And
that's great.
It was one of the best things I ever did.
That's great.
Yeah.
No, I'm really glad you did that, man. I know a bit of your story, and, it's one of those things of that, hey, we're having this conversation here today, so we're going to be happy for that.
Yeah.
And hopefully a few people listen and enjoy our story today. So but it makes me honored that one, I've been asked to be a part of this, so thank you for that.
Of course, man. There was no question I wanted to have you on the pod. Like, no
Cheers.
question, dude. I couldn't thank you enough, man. As I said, I can't wait to do a part 2. I'm probably going to come into the cafe as soon as I can, to be honest with you now. I think I saw something up. He's doing something for Father's Day.
Pork belly salad. Yeah,
nice. Yeah, sweet. I think my brother's got my dad for Father's Day lunch tomorrow, which is a shame, but
that's all right.
There's always another
good.
one. So yeah, man, I couldn't appreciate it anymore. So all the links for any socials are going to be in the description below.
Yep.
For everyone, my friends that want to go see. For those who know Kelvin works there as well. So don't be shy to go say hello to him. While you're there, say hello to Matt as well. So yeah, gang bro, I couldn't thank you enough.
Cheers, man. Thank you. No, it's been awesome. It's been really fun.
Yeah, sweet. Well, for everyone listening, thank you as well. It's been an amazing week this week. There'll be another one next week. That's a wrap.
Hey, awesome. Thanks so much.